Hello, everybody. How are we doing? How are we doing? We're here. Excited? I'm excited to see this. I'm really excited to see this. Can you hear me? Am I coming loud? Coming through loud. There's one thing I didn't check. I pressed live and then I was like, oh no, are you going to be able to hear the documentary? And let's face it, probably not. But if I do some little trickery here, then we should be good to go. Starting in 60 seconds. So you can't hear that. I'm pretty sure you can't hear that. Okay, we need to add an audio input capture. Audio output capture, and we need to call it YouTube. Oopsie daisies. Okay, and then we need to go. No, that's no good. Okay, what about input? Wow. Desktop. Or add existing. Display. Maybe. And then you'd go. Huh. I need to make sure you guys can hear the thing, so bear with me a second. That's not right, that's not right, that's not right. YouTube. The speakers, we need Sony mic, window capture. Yeah, but I need to capture audio as well.
We visited Warhorse Studios for the final 24 hours before the release.
Oh. It would help.
Hele, Urbank může mít
Yeah. Oh, I can't see it though. Why not? Oh, internet issues, chat. Internet issues. Damn, chat. Right, can you? Oh god. Right. Okay. It's loud though. Yeah, I know. Let's hope this doesn't keep crashing like this. Thank you out everybody for the subs. I love you so much. Cleric Sad, Davis Bird, Vampire, Sandra Sweetie, Sophie, The Terror YouTube, Atlantis Fontaine, Lipa Birdie, Shooting Starsy, Poetic Not Found, Nat Bat. Mel Purple, Duggan's Calf, Dusty Fedora, Bobby Ray, Legends. Thank you, everybody. The Gabagools, thank you. Thanks, everybody. We're just waiting for it to start, and also hoping that the internet improves. I don't know why it's being like this.
It's
Let me give it a refresh. Oh no!
Is the final countdown.
No, don't be all weird. Let me play it in 720, see if that helps. Oh, god damn. Let me get rid of that, see if it helps. Da, 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 da. Why is it being like this? Maybe it doesn't like that I'm streaming something and streaming myself. Maybe it doesn't like that. Oh no, no. That's not good. That's not good. But it's not a stream, it's a it's not a stream. It's just a premiere. It's just a video that's
he's just got one of those faces.
Okay, let's see if I can take it back. Oh, I'm sorry, guys. Internet problems. Internet problems. Just doesn't want to work.
Where is everyone?
Oh, man.
You are in for a treat.
Oh, I don't know if we're going to be able to do it. It's a perfect Luke stream. I know. It's Wi-Fi. I don't know what's going on. It just doesn't want to play. What a shame. This was going to be so much fun. It won't play, guys. It won't play. You'll have to bear with me. I don't suppose my mods have got any ideas. I don't know why it's doing this. Because how can I be streaming fine, but YouTube not? Like, what? That just doesn't make any sense. Like, all it is playing a bloody video. Is there anything updating in the background? Nah. Not that I know of. I don't think so. I can get rid of some other stuff and hope for the best. Oh, hang on. Oh, is it getting better? We'll find out after these messages. Jesus Christ be praised. No, it's not. Oh, well, I don't know what to do now. Try reconnecting the router. Well, if I do that, we'll lose the stream completely.
To find money not the traditional way.
I could stream it at a lower...
To find money not the traditional way.
Oh, dear. I've never known this happen, though. I've never had this happen. Like, it's never just doesn't... Like, it just doesn't work. This is brand new. Not enough bandwidth for the premiere. It's probably the problem, but I don't know how to fix that. There's nothing I can really do about that. Driver update. Lower the quality. I've tried that. I've got it down to 480. Don't know, guys. I might have to abandon this because if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But never mind. I don't know. No one's got any ideas. Change the browser. Try cache. Oh yeah, I could clear my cache. Or oh yeah, no, I could try a different browser. That's true. All right, let's try a different browser. Let's see if that helps. What is the other browser? Edge. Microsoft Edge. Let me try Microsoft Edge. Sorry about this, everybody. It's really... I could not have foreseen this.
Savings.
We want it.
And as it turned out, we got
Oh, it was
much more
Chrome!
money on Kickstarter than the
Chrome
amount
was the
I
problem!
mentioned. And then we did a crowdfunding
Should we go
campaign
back?
on our own webpage, and
Let's go back.
To be all.
We fixed it. It was the browser. All right, we're back. We're back. Okay. I just panicked. I pooped my little panties because I made such a big deal out of this. And it wasn't working. But it was Chrome! Fuck Chrome! Fuck you, Google, with all your money! You fucking pricks! Right, shall we watch this documentary together? Before we do, though, please go watch it on mute in the background so it gets the... so it helps the algorithm for the video itself. Like the video, share the video, do all the good things... And then, you know, I don't feel like I'm taking away their viewership. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel bad. So let's have their video on at the same time. The link is in the description on YouTube, on my YouTube. But go find it. It is titled Redefining Medieval RPGs, the KCD 2 documentary. So just have it on in the background. Let it play, and that will really help its algorithm and get people to see it, okay? Because it's a good friend of mine that made this, and I really want them to... for it to be successful for them. So, but I thought we could all watch it at the same time. So have that playing and watch with me. Okay. Okay, here we go. Ready?
It's quiet here today.
This one is
Exciting.
going to be awesome.
They can smell bullshit.
It was still kept very, very in secret.
Warhorse, it leaked. Bastards.
Kingdom Come Deliverance released in 2018 to a generally positive acclaim. Even though the game had its technical issues, the adventures of Henry of Skalitz proved to be something unique in the gaming industry. Today, with over 8 million copies sold, over 80% positive reviews
10
from the
million
players,
now.
and an infinite number of I feel
10 million
uttered by our beloved hero,
of the first
Warhorse
one.
Studio aims to release a sequel that's going to be bigger, better, and more successful. You've been enjoying your second adventure in medieval Bohemia for a while now, but we're here today, exactly one day before the game launches, to give you a glimpse on what the final hours of releasing a game look like, and to talk with the developers about all things KCD 2.
How
This
exciting.
is the final countdown.
Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da. Da-da-da-da-da-da. Woo! I'm so glad this worked.
Hi. Hi there.
Hello, welcome to Warhorse. How can I help you?
I'm with the media. We're supposed to be recording with you guys today.
It's me!
Oh, yes. No, we've been expecting you. If you wait here, my friend will be with you in just a second. Can I get you anything in the meantime? Water, coffee, bathhouse services, maybe?
Bathhouse services, of course.
I think I'm good.
Okay.
Thank you.
Just wait right there.
hi, I'm Tom.
Oh, look who it
Nice to meet you
is!
too.
Shall we do this?
Yeah, please follow me.
Look
thank
who
you.
it is.
Tom, listen, the guy at the reception, do I know him from somewhere?
No, he's just got one of those faces.
What do you do at Warhorse?
Oh, you know, this and that.
This and that. that trailer.
So, here we are.
I'm the sexy secretary, the receptionist.
Where is everyone?
Guys, you are in for a treat.
Oh. The final countdown! La ba boo bee boo bee boo. Thanks for joining me, everybody! Go like the video, links in the description. Go support the filmmaker, go support the filmmakers.
Before we can talk about the present, we need to take a step back to the past.
I always wanted to create.
Thanks for the
something
subs,
from our
guys. Bless
history.
your hearts.
Another thing is that there was almost no historical games that are not strategies, let's say. In my opinion, there was a huge hole in the market. We founded the company together with
Mr.
Martin
Barbara.
and started to work on it. And it was quite tough because nobody believed that his purely historical game is commercially possible.
That man is responsible for like my entire acting career. Thank you very much, sir.
2008 to 2009, I was working
Mr.
in
Klima!
Orchestra in
Mr. Klima and I have got a bet about me learning Czech in 6 months. I'm going to lose.
UK. So as a producer, then I came back to Czech Republic. I was wondering, what am I going to do? My friend Viktor Bocan came to me and introduced me to Dan Vavra. And of course I knew Dan from before, but we didn't meet before in person. So I was aware of him, of his work, and he introduced me to his concept of realistic medieval RPG. I thought it's a great idea. And it's completely Dan's idea, and I immediately saw that it's going to work. It's the kind of game I would like to play, and that really nobody did anything even remotely similar before.
It was a quite tough start at the beginning because we had to find money not the traditional way. Investors, Kickstarter, years of actually struggle to make it happen.
We started looking for
All good things
investors, and of
do
course
not
we
come easy.
approached various gaming companies, and they all unimpressed by our pitch, and then we
This is
approached,
early,
venture
KCD.
capitalists. Of
Look,
course,
it's not even Tom. It's not even Tom. It's early. It's
then
early,
we
Tom.
approached,
It's
venture
Tom before
capitalists.
Tom.
Of course, in Czech Republic, there were no similar success stories of a venture capitalist funding a game studio and then exiting it and making.
You
lot
want
of
the
money.
subtitles?
The only people
Sure.
who did this were Peter Wachowska and the people who backed him, and then they were able to sell the company to 2K. We had a cool pitch, I believe, and we were trying to explain what we are doing, and we had a lot of meetings, but in the end the response was always, don't call us, we will call you. And we were pitching the game to these people and showing that this is the running demo, you can take a controller and play it. And they always said, well, we are not sure. We think that Facebook is future of gaming. And what about companion apps? Are you planning a companion app? We think this is the last generation of consoles. There will be no more console gaming.
Hey,
After
how
maybe
wrong
2
they
years,
fucking were,
we
eh?
were able to approach Mr. Bacala,
How wrong
who
they
was
were.
one of the select few Czech billionaires, and he made a lot of money in banking, and he owned several coal mines in Czech Republic. And so when he learned about our project, he seemed excited and
There you
agreed
go.
to finance the startup.
Thank you,
That's
Mr.
how
Billionaire.
Warhol Studios was born in 2011. In August, we were incorporated. We started hiring people, and we started working on the game. We didn't yet know it will be called Kingdom Come Deliverance. It was very recognizably the game that we then released in 2018.
For us, it was
What a
more important
journey.
to find out whether people are interested in Kingdom Come or not. It was more like voting by wallets. The most efficient market surveys we could have eventually done. Original idea was, okay, so if we have, say, 10,000 people telling us this is good, go ahead, we would be more than happy. And finally, it was more than 35,000
music.
people. It was actually a fantastic result, and gave us some freedom, creative freedom, in financial freedom. We could have continued in developing the game. That was more than what we wanted.
And as it turned out, we got much more money on Kickstarter than the amount I mentioned. And then we did a crowdfunding campaign on our own webpage, and in the end we got so much money that we nearly were able to finance the development all the way till we were able to secure the advance from the publisher.
What a story. What a
Today
Cinderella
we're used to
story.
saying Kingdom Come Deliverance, but there is a bigger story behind it.
Generally,
One thing that I love about being a part of that franchise, that game, is the fact that I was part of a story, not just Kingdom Come, but the story of the studio, and like to be a part of a story like that they came from absolute zero and became one of the most successful video games ever made. And I'm just like, that just doesn't happen, guys. That just doesn't happen.
the Kingdom Come
It's pretty cool.
just,
And it's all
like
hard
Kingdom Come,
work.
so that's from that.
It's just
It's a little bit
insane.
funny because
It
I
is a
wanted to have
miracle.
some series name, just like the Elder Scrolls.
Against all
something.
the odds.
So the Kingdom Come was supposed to be something like the Elder Scrolls, and then the Deliverance would be the name of the game, because everybody says Skyrim, Arena, blah blah blah. But it turned totally opposite. People started using the whole name. So
I remember
That explains
the
why it's the
original
longest name ever.
dance speech. It was called Hammerheart, which, like, you are a blacksmith. But Hammerheart, I also think, is the name of some metal album or song. It was not really good name because it was already trademarked.
So these were the early days, but there is a long road between starting a campaign. in
I love how
January
long its
2014,
name is.
Getting over $2 million from both Kickstarter
You can't mistake
and
it with
crowdfunding on
anything
the
else.
studio's website, and releasing the game in February 2018. First of all, the game needed a main protagonist, and the search for him wasn't easy.
That's not Tom.
we wanted to have a universal actor that's able to be funny and at the same time
It's
a
Tom!
little bit tougher, which turned out to be quite complicated. So we had a limited options because thanks to the fact that the game is historical, we prefer English actors for the accent and everything. So we were limited to English actors.
Yeah, you
And
were.
When we did the casting, I received a lot of proposals and nobody was funny, which was bizarre. We had this test scene that we sent to them,
Yes, you
and the scene was supposed to be funny. It was basically a joke, and
See?
everybody was playing it as a drama.
This
So
is what
basically
I
everybody was
say.
crying during
That's
it.
what I
was like,
always say.
what the fuck? Like, it's a joke. Why are you crying? And out of, I don't know, 100 or 60 actors or something.
Do you know in my video where I explain like how I got the part, and I always say this is what Dan says. He's saying it now.
Just few were actually getting what it is. And one of them was Tom and one of them was Luke. Originally we casted a different actor for the role. Tom was the second. I don't know if he will like to hear it, but he knows it. But generally the other actor was very similar. We already signed the deal, and then he was casted to some Netflix show, so he rejected in the end. Okay. It was very similar.
didn't know that.
Actor, in terms of performance and looks.
I didn't even know
he was
that.
also called Tom, I think.
We know how the story turned out, and we have Tom McKay as the lead
What?
and Luke Dale playing Hans Capon. But since they were both in the running for the role of Henry, what made Dan not choose the other way around?
At the time he was very young and
Me, yeah.
very unexperienced.
Yes, true.
But literally he was top 3 from the test. My opinion was that he's too edgy for the main character, which probably should be a little bit.
I was top 3 for Henry. Not for Henry, though. Is he saying I was top 3 for Henry? Because that's crazy.
More was that he's too edgy. He was top 3.
Hans
Wait.
Capon. But since they were both in the running for the role of Henry, what made Dan not choose the other way around?
At the time he was very young and
Sorry, I'm just being a
very
narcissist here.
unexperienced. But literally he was top 3
I was a baby.
from the test. My opinion was that he's too edgy for the main character, which
Too edgy.
probably should be a little bit more universal. So everybody could kind of
Too edgy.
relate to him a little bit more.
So the studio had the funding, had the story, the
does he
cast,
mean
and
edgy?
the development went on. But while the release got closer, not everything was straightforward.
What does
After
he
we
mean?
released the first game, it was a huge success, let's say, especially for the small company which we were.
This is so
So
good.
it allowed us to have more.
I feel like I'm getting all the
resources
gossip.
to make another one. I don't know if we managed to establish a new genre, but maybe we did. At least we proven that it's possible and that there is a demand for such thing. I hope that there will be some other similar games, let's say.
This was rather stressful release, and compared to KCD 2, which we now experiencing, so we have something to compare. That was pretty tough, Indeed, a couple of days before the actual release, in February 2018, we had some signals from Steam, like from the application. Oh, okay, geez, it's picking up, it's getting better and better.
Nice.
So it will fly. But to the very last minute, we were unsure. As much as we expected or wanted to expect or maybe wished that this will be a success.
That's Martin
we did not.
Fravalski, absolute bloody legend.
Overriding feeling was we did it. We managed to do it. We really finished it. And there were, of course, moments when
The three guys
it seemed like a
talking
very
are the three top
distant
dudes at
goal,
Warlords.
and we were not sure if we are going to
The
be able to finish it at all, especially on
top
the
dogs.
technical side. The KCD one didn't run perfectly on
top horses,
the
yeah.
then console generation, but it did run.
I'm
and
the
you could play
edgelord
it,
now.
and that's no small feat. I remember maybe a year before release, we were maybe 2 gigabytes. Over
I
memory
can't
budget.
believe he called
We
me
were
edgy.
able
I've
to
never
cut
been called
this
edgy in
2
my
gigabytes
life.
of memory usage in I don't
I'm the
know,
most
12,
meat and two veg,
16 months.
bread
That's
and
no small
butter.
feat. There were times where we were thinking that
Fucking boring.
maybe we won't publish on consoles at all. Maybe we will do a split release and release on PC, and then maybe on consoles half a
Edgy.
year later, if we are able to optimize it
I'm
better.
so edgy.
And in the end, we were able to optimize it in time for the release, simultaneous release on all platforms. That was great.
What I did for the first half year after the first game is that I sat down and was preparing a big document that generally addressed all the issues and shortcomings and possible upgrades for the features of the first game. And based on that we created a design document and plans how to upgrade everything. Not everything in the end happened, so there's a lot of things that we had to scratch because they were still too complicated to do.
You'll notice how
But generally that was the goal
Dan's
from the
hair
beginning.
went completely
So I
white
was-
over the course of making
took
this
me
game.
a lot of time and effort to decide.
I mean, it's
what
no
to do
fucking
with
wonder.
the mechanics and stuff from the first game, how to make it better.
We were finishing KCD1. We transformed
Like, it wasn't always
from
that
this
way.
really small and medium-sized studio into a big studio, but we still were very lean, especially on the production side. And we felt that we really need to address this, that with this 100+ people, we can no longer rely on this ad hoc communication between people in various teams, that we really need to have some kind of more organized development, organized structure, even though it meant, of course, some loss of flexibility.
After finishing the first game, the
So you all
studio
got
started
Microsoft
looking ahead
Teams,
at
basically.
what can be improved, not only in terms of ideas for the game, but also in the whole process of actually making it.
For example, the pipeline for the cutscenes was already done, and
Thanks,
we
Dan. Everyone's
now
calling me
can
edgelord
focus
now.
on improving the pipeline, so it's more effective. And the
That's
result is
Pepper!
better, right? The second
Pepper's
thing is that
amazing.
I was able to hire much more people. just
Pepper's
for
our
the
mocap
cutscenes.
director.
By the end, we had 12 cinematics, which is almost like triple the size of the original team. Third big difference is that we did some significant
second game.
upgrades in the motion capture as well. We implemented performance capture. We had quite a bigger stage to record the cutscenes in. Even though it doesn't seem
It's
like
me
that,
and
the
Tom.
stage is still quite small. Believe me, it's much bigger than the original one that we had in previous offices. All the characters models were remodeled again because we had, for the second game, the technical standards are much higher than for the first one. So yes, we had to remodel almost everything.
There are a couple tracks where I used string quartet. I wanted to use it in the first installment of KCD already, and that there wasn't a good place to do it. Now it was. And again, I used solo vocal, female vocal, which was again sung by my wife, which sounds like a nepotism, and maybe it is. Actually, I don't know if she was ever getting paid. But anyway, the thing is, you know,
Jan
she's a
Walter,
wonderful
baby.
musician, and if you have somebody like that at home, and she is willing to come at 10 p.m. into your office and record something because she's a brilliant singer, that helps a lot. Actually, players know her from the DLC number 3. She sung there the Apple, the Ablichko, the song. Yeah, so this voice is coming back only in a couple of situations, but yeah, that's like where it fits very nicely.
What a
and it
sweetheart
brings
he
an
is.
Extra emotion to the cutscene.
For Kingdom Come
He's a
Deliverance
sweetheart.
1, you had this huge obligation and low expectations. And in KCD 2, the expectations are high. Because of the success of the first game, obviously everybody is expecting us to outperform KCD 1. The game was more expensive.
Everyone
more
was
people have been
thinking it.
working on it.
Better be good.
We spent maybe twice as much.
And it
than,
was!
Developing KCD 2. So
It
all
bloody
this effort,
was!
Had to be visible somewhere, and it should translate to more sales, more happy players. So the expectations are much higher, and this obligation or responsibility, or however we want to call it, are different. The first game for us was really do or die. We were a private company owned by an investor. We had no track record. We had nothing to fall back on.
This is important. This is kind of important because what he's saying is that with KCD 1 in the beginning, it was just Warhorse. That's all it was. It was 3 guys and it's, you know, it's a pretty small team, and that was it. But then,
if an investor do or die, we were a private company owned by an investor. We had no track record. We had nothing to fall back on. If KCD 1 flopped, that would be end of it. There was absolutely no doubt about it that would be end of it. Nobody would even buy the studio or buy the IP. If the game was unsuccessful, why would anyone?
In 2019, the studio was acquired by the company you now know as PlayOn, and some people feared that it might influence the creative independence of the studio.
But
it's
it didn't.
Important to say that we are, and we were, and we still are, very grateful for that fact that operationally Warhorse can still have and will have the creative freedom. We really did what we wanted.
And no shade to PlayOn or Embracer or anything, but that's why the second game was so successful, because no one meddled with the creative input of the game.
In a way, how we wanted.
They were able to do what they wanted to do.
Nothing has changed. And in fact, when they acquiring us, we already started Kingdom Come 2. It was not like you did one game, now we buy you, and then now we tell you what we want you to develop.
Facts.
So they just supported us in indeed, you know, personal.
And that's how it should work. Companies, if you're going to buy a studio, you buy the studio because you believe in the vision and the talent of the people that work there and what they want to create, and you leave them the fuck alone and you give them their money, and then you hope you see a big return on that money.
In the marketing,
that's what you do.
To continue that effort. But within the studio, really nothing has changed. I mean, a lot of things has changed, but it was things we wanted to change by ourselves after finishing KCD 1.
And that's what they did. And absolute props to them.
For
Absolutely,
years,
everyone wins when you work like that. Everyone.
A sequel to Kingdom Come Deliverance. With the success of the game, the DLCs released, the Royal Edition coming, and then even a port for Nintendo Switch, everyone hoped that one day there will be a second game.
Initially in the marketing team, we wanted to announce the
game. This my boy right here. This my boy. This is Vitek Mishka. He is responsible for the announcement trailer, the live action series with Tom and I, where we went to Kuttenberg and Trotsky and the musical and the Rodofinum and the Warhorse Studios bit. He conceptualized and wrote all of that, directed it. This guy is a god. He also edits a lot of the trailers for the game that you've seen.
4 times before we actually...
And he's also one of my best friends.
Actually announced it, and we were waiting for the right moment. So that was the timing discussion. Then, of course, there was the creative discussion.
And it's nice to see him get some recognition here.
Because people didn't know that we are making a sequel to KCD 1. So it was a secret, and we kept it a secret for the entire production of KCD 2 from 2019. There were speculations, of course, but and we knew that everybody wants that we are making KCD 2, and it was really funny reading the Reddit threads where people were like, if they are making anything else, we'll torch their building, stuff like that. So we had to work with that as well.
The studio started teasing the
They
fans
feared
with
for their very
pictures on
lives,
media.
chat. They
There were
feared
4
for their
pictures in
lives.
total, one posted
Hey, that's
every few
me!
days, but it all began with a figure on a horse that did not look like it came from medieval Bohemia.
No, it did not.
There was one guy that says, this is Dan Wabra on a horse, and he will tell us that we are about to announce KCD 2. We've put the letters KCD and Romani 2 into every one of these. There were 4 teaser pictures, and we put KCD into the one by one into every of the picture. It was very hidden, but if we knew that some of our fans are really like zooming it in to the absolute maximum, and he found it and put it on Reddit, and people were like, "Oh, you're going crazy, man! Change your meds." And this is
they actually
right
did
all
it.
The time.
Finally, on the
they
18th
actually
of April,
did that.
And this...
So that's the K. That's the C. That's the D. I mean, I wouldn't have in a million years clocked that at all.
And he was right all the time.
Finally, on the 18th of April 2024, the fans got what they wanted. The reveal consisted not only of the trailer, but also the whole introduction to the premise of the game made by the team, the 2 main actors, as well as musicians conducted by Jan Walta, who performed the track that fans instantly fell in love with.
It was shot in Kuttenberg, the main capital of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. In the Saint Barbara Church, which is like the,
this is beautiful.
Let's say, the monument people go there for. And we shot it actually exactly a year ago.
One of the best days of my
January
life.
2024. We shot it for 3 days. We shot it in Kuttenberg on purpose. One, of course, it's the setting of the game. And when we were having like creative chats how we are about to execute the announcement, there were some people that said, let's just shoot it in the office. It will be easier and it won't be as expensive, but where would the fun be, right? I think that's what made the whole thing special, sort of like having this conceptual setting and starting it in Kuttenberg.
It really was. It really was amazing.
Having the orchestra in the cathedral, it's like such a unique setting that we haven't seen anything like that in game reveals before.
Originally, this Saint Barbara theme was meant to be played around the Saint Barbara church, which is built like next to the magnificent walls of the Kuttenberg town. So I wanted to give it the grace and the gloriousness as it is now. But the thing is, we are 1403. Church of St. Barbara back then was like maybe 2 meters high, maybe less, because it was still under construction. And because of the war, the building was stuck. It was
So if you haven't been to Kutna just fucking look at that. If you haven't seen the live action series with Tom and I, go watch it. That's just one beautiful shot of it. There's many more. It's stunning. That is Kuttenberg today.
Because of the war, the building was stuck. It was a working site. It was not that glorious as now it is. I already had the theme, and it looked like that's actually quite cool. I liked it. So I've decided that I will record this track in a bit bigger official version, and I will record it live with 66 musicians in the orchestra and 40 people choir. It was supposed to be one of 6, maybe 7 tracks you hear when when the game starts. You start the build, and you see the main menu, and some music starts. I actually maybe had originally 1 or 2 other candidates for that, but then there is this guy from the studio. His name is Vítek Mičke. He came to me and was like, listen, we are gonna be doing this announcement video.
It's me and my boy!
He was like, listen, we are gonna be doing...
It's me and my boy right there!
This announcement video, about the game and all the things. And we just don't want to announce it through a trailer. We want to do a whole big show about it. and why don't we just finish it all? I mean, and he described me all the parts. I was like, oh, this is amazing. Wow, this sounds good. And Luke and Tom are gonna be in it together, you know, in live, in person. Wow, this is amazing. Oh, I was like, this is great, this is great, this is great. And then he said, like, well, what do you say if we would just finish it all, you know, with your Saint Barbara theme? I was like,
absolutely.
Yeah, so I really didn't expect that. So I would never believe, you know, the music, you know, would
and
have
Vitek
such a prominent
is so young,
spot, you know, anywhere. It's like,
you know,
wow.
he's like,
So
I think he's like
was, of course, very happy.
25-ish.
We have been doing this recording then.
He's
with
so young, but he's
musicians
so
in,
smart. Like,
back
and he
then
just
freezing Saint Barbara
it.
Church, already built, already in its gloriousness, and that was like -6 or -7 degrees Celsius, I think maybe. It was like really pretty bad for musicians.
I mean, can you imagine being 25 and being able to say that you did all of that? Like, that's what an achievement.
A hell of an experience. It was an amazing thing. I mean, yeah, hadn't it been for Vitek Mičke, it probably wouldn't have this status. Because
absolutely.
Okay, I composed it, that much I can say, but he's the guy who elevated it up, you know, and he put all the spotlights on it. So, yeah, thanks, Vitek.
Thank you,
It was
Vitek.
important to keep this kind of announcement in complete secrecy in order not to spoil the surprise for the people. Good thing it didn't leak, right?
Actually, it leaked.
It did leak!
It leaked.
It did leak. And I am one of the only other people to know about this. And I don't think I can say much about this. But it did leak. And it leaked on IGN. And Roxy, who has been a very long time, biggest fan ever of Kingdom Come, clocked it and messaged me. And then I was calling Vitek. I was calling Toby at the studio, and I couldn't get through because it was like 3 a.m. and this is the day of release. Actually, not sorry, the day of the announcement, the day of the announcement, and yeah, it fucking leaked early.
Leaked not the footage of the announcement, but footage of our trailer that was part of the announcement game reveal. It leaked actually one night before we announced it in April.
And you can imagine me sat there at like 2 a.m. and I was like panicking and I was like powerless because I couldn't get in touch with anybody, and it was still on there, up online, and I was like, what the fuck do I do? I couldn't sleep.
So we were very happy it hasn't leaked until the day of the announcement. That I woke up at 7 a.m. I have like 19 missed calls from Luke Dale.
See, I haven't seen this. I had 19 missed calls from Luke Dale. I can't believe he mentioned that. Luke Dale mentioned.
Oh man, look at the trailer. Fuck man, this is and it leaked the like a cut down of the trailer.
But I will give credit, because I wouldn't have known if Roxy, shout out Sexy Biscuit on YouTube, if Roxy hadn't told me. So it was Roxy that discovered it first, then told me, then I was calling them like a madman.
On one of our advertising partners' webpage.
I was still awake because I was very excited. And Roxy, funnily enough,
I forgot about this.
Me and said, Luke, the game's been leaked. You need to have a look. And so I was calling Toby, I was calling Vitek, and they were asleep. You know, it's 3 a.m. in Prague, and I'm like, oh my God. And then I think as soon as they woke up, damage control, you know, panic stations, and they got it all taken down. And then, but it's kind of a testament to the fans as well, because a lot of people I read were like, even if it has been leaked, I'm still going to wait until Warhorse fully release all this stuff. I don't want to ruin it for myself. I want it all to come from them. And if you do that as a fan, it's for the best, because you get it properly.
So we had to kill every single Facebook post and Reddit post throughout the day so it wouldn't spread, and it didn't, which is because we knew it would completely ruin the surprise. The whole intro with Tom and Luke meeting, it would be ruined.
I'd been shown it and I was like, this is something else, you know, this is crazy. This is
and it's true.
I mean, I think other studios could learn a lot from what Warhorse did. You know, you could feel the passion behind it and why.
I agree.
Projecting.
I agree with this guy. He makes good points.
Of St. Barbara It's inspired. It's absolutely genius, isn't it? And I think that's only comes from when a studio and a team are as passionate as Warhorse are.
I agree, sir.
It is finally time to join Henry and Hans in their quest of delivering the letter to Otto von Berghoff.
Guys, we're only delivering a letter to fucking Trotsky. What's the big deal? I don't get why they made a game about that. That sounds so boring.
What letter, you might ask? Well, this one, of course.
We, by the will of God, lords and nobles of the Kingdom of Bohemia,
it's
and
me!
Likewise, His Grace Margrave Jobst of Luxembourg, Elector of Brandenburg, hereby send you, Sir Otto, Lord von Berghoff, and Royal
Chamberlain, our respectful greetings. It is surely as clear to you as it is to us that our beloved
It's
kingdom has
Danzig!
descended into a deplorable state of unrest, lawlessness, and hostilities,
casting a regrettable shadow over the legacy of our late revered Emperor Charles IV. Eternal glory to his name.
This is very apt, because tomorrow I'm going to be doing a stream with Danzig. You must tune in tomorrow, by the way. 10 a.m. it's going to be now. Me and Danzig are going to do a Prague tour live on stream, an IRL. So join us for that.
His heirs Wenceslas and Sigismund are in conflict, and our noble houses throughout the land
have become entrenched in mutual dispute and dissent. As the nobility of this illustrious kingdom, it is our divine duty to endeavour to bring much desired peace to Bohemia, and likewise its righteous king. Enough of folly and wretchedness. Let us now unite our noble houses in seeking to make amends, punish the sinners as befits. Please accept this letter from the hand of our noble friend and envoy, Sir Hans Capon of Perkstein and Leipa.
It's me!
And his squire, Sir Henry of Scammers.
Yay! With my peasant!
In the name of Jesus Christ, laid down at Rattay Castle
by the undersigned in AD 1403.
Audentes Fortuna
It's
Juvat.
the direct continuation of the first game, so basically where it ends, this one starts. The first one was not closed, there was a huge cliffhanger at the
Absolute
end, so
cinema,
basically
guys,
we
absolute
continue.
cinema.
And everything that was started in the first game is finished in the second one. It's about the civil war in Bohemia where the king is abducted by his brother, who is trying to take over the kingdom. Our hero is a victim of some raids on cities that produce silver, and he wants to have revenge, but at the same time they want to save the king and kind of end the war. The second game is much bigger in terms of politics and scope than the first game, which was just focused on the main character and his struggle in some rural areas. This time it's much more about politics and kind of bigger picture of what's happening. Concept of the full story was done at the beginning, so the second game was already established 10 years ago, and the original plan was to kind of have the whole story told to the first game, which was not possible and quite naive.
I never met Dan.
The second one took us a lot of work, so it was totally impossible to do it in the first game. But I believe that there is going to be a second game because I was quite convinced that it's going to be a successful game. And especially after Kickstarter and all the publicity we got and reactions of the people, and everybody was very positive about it, so I was quite sure the possibility of second game would be quite high.
We are like looking at the story from two different perspectives. One is like what's
Lead
happening
designer.
in the world and the lore of the world. And obviously there, in the beginning of the 15th century, when the game takes place, there was a raging civil war.
No,
And
of
then
course I
the
meant
other
Dan Barber, I
perspective is
mean
the
Dan
personal
Brown.
story of Henry.
I think for the fans who enjoyed the first game,
hey look,
what you'll enjoy
it's
about the
me.
second is the step up into adulthood for Henry. You were dealing with bandits and small town problems, and now you're dealing with kings, and you're dealing with really big armies and big boy problems, and you've got to rise to the occasion, and I think that's quite exciting. You know, just like in life,
I'm getting
you
quite a
have
lot of
to,
airtime in this documentary.
grow up, and things get tougher as you go along, and that's good. You know, the
Show
new
us Tom.
challenges
Show
and
us Tom.
Seeing
Show
Henry
us
grow
Tom.
in that way is
I've heard
really
enough out of
exciting, so
myself.
I think you'll enjoy that.
KCD1 was from a child to a man, and KCD2 is from a man to a warrior. And specifically to a warrior, not a hero. He still has this kind of struggle with his past self when he still feels that he failed. You know, his parents died in the first game, and he still kind of feels that he should have been braver. In his humble way, he's trying to prove himself. He's trying to do good, or at least to not, do too much evil. So it's like this personal journey. And yeah, he has his enemies from the first game, and yes, they will be.
Unless you do the evil Henry
the story
playthrough
that began in KCD 1.
KCD is in an unusual position of telling a story that's grounded in actual history. This means that there are two types of characters there. Ones who are completely fictional, like Henry, our hero Henry, and historical characters that require a bit different treatment when writing for a video game.
With the completely historical characters, the limitations are, for example, you can't kill them because they actually lived and people can research them. It feel weird if you change history, so you can't change, the history of Europe in our game. So these are the limitations we had when writing the story. And even some characters, when it was well known that some character behaved in a way, we had to retain them. But we had a lot of freedom with the new characters. So when you come up with interesting Kuttenberg burger, for example, you could come up with anything basically.
The characters that are invented and the characters that are like pre-written by history, their starting point is really not that far off. The only difference is that with the historical character, you have to be careful not to break the continuous of our timeline. So, they will survive. The Ratzig will survive because he will die in 1412 when a mob of angry monks will trample him to death because of a tax issue. Marquard von Aulets.
Spoilers!
Debate whether where he died and how he died. In terms of like character biography,
historical spoilers.
Marquard is the only one where we maybe did something which was better for the story, but it was not completely historically accurate.
One thing that is
we love Andre
is their approach to designing a game. It's often very hardcore and old school in its design, and I think it's safe to say that Warhorse does things that not many studios are willing to risk.
The combination of like this almost an old school RPG with the open world is something that not many people do. As you said, even action games nowadays do some form of open world. Even the new Doom game that was just announced, announced that you will be able to, explore and find tidbits. So basically every bigger game has some sense of open world. But in Kingdom Come, really, it is the sense that the open world isn't some addition. It's like integral part of the experience.
It is
kinda felt that
first
the type of
and
game
foremost
that
an open world game.
Was the type of game we want to make. We just wanted to make.
It's like what I will say about, I've been recently obviously playing Clair Obscur, and what I will say is that although it's a great game, I prefer open world games, and you do feel like you're a bit on tracks with Clair Obscur. You're very much like you got to figure out the path, but you're on tracks. You're kind of stuck going in one direction. And I prefer this. I prefer being able to do whatever you want, whenever you want, just like in real life. And that's where I think Kingdom Come, for me, takes the biscuit. And I'm not biased at all.
A better, more mature, more polished product. So that's basically what KCD2 Open World should feel. It should, it should feel
Game
more,
of the year.
Or the
Game of the year.
Better, or
Game of the year.
And,
Game of the
AI
year.
is better.
Game of
your
the year.
To the world
Game
should be
of
better.
the year.
Are better. Even now you can respond to many people, even to the small things. The new feature we have when you can quickly respond to people.
Look, it's hands.
There's all these little things that kind of elevates the experience. But the basic feeling of this like very grounded, realistic world that everything makes sense should be still the same. We have our reputation system that not only the NPCs will remember what happened, but they will even tell other NPCs and they will like behave appropriately. For example, you will persuade them not to do anything with your action, for example, crime. Their reputation is still lowered. So they'll start to greet you differently, they will be less cheerful, it will be harder to persuade them in quests. If there are traders, it will be harder, they will raise prices just for you. In KCD1, they have their clothes on, and if you steal the clothes, they don't have them. So this kind of design principles stay the same, but we said, okay, so KCD2 should be bigger, better, more polished. And so how can we do more with this? Now, for example, not only can you steal the clothes from the NPCs, but you can also give them clothes. If you like drop clothes, or if you like.
Guys, just a reminder for anyone that's joined recently, go and play the YouTube video for this video in the background on mute with me, along with me, so that it helps their algorithm support the filmmaker, because I don't want to steal their views, okay? So do that as a favor to your lord. Thank you.
Give clothes to their chests, and if it fits their presets and is more expensive, they will actually wear that thing. And if it fits him, he will wear it. And if it doesn't fit him, he will stash it in his chest. But his chest is used by more people. So if it doesn't fit his preset, his clothing preset, but it does fit the preset of somebody from his family, he will take it from the chest and wear it. And these are the small things that most of the studios would say, no guys, cut it. This is too complex, it would introduce bugs, don't do it. But for us, the living open world is so important that we do even these little crazy things.
Crazy things might be a bit of an understatement in this case, especially when you consider that KCD 2 has a reputation system that influences how NPCs treat you, but there's also a second system that works in parallel.
And the other system is angriness, and that's when you do things in a region, bad things, for example, if you steal or kill, but nobody ever sees you, so nobody connects it with you, your reputation never goes down, the angriness nevertheless goes up. And that means new guards will roam the region, even the common people will start to arm themselves. It feels like your actions in the games have like logical, outcomes.
Since the game takes place in real-life locations, this proves to be an additional challenge when designing the game.
KCD is a little different from other games in regard that, the authenticity and historical accuracy is really important for us. So all the locations, all the height maps, all the maps, everything is, derived from real locations. But what we sometimes do, that we cut boring places from these locations and we kind of squeeze the important locations more closer together.
So we need to put them closer, but because in reality it's a few kilometers and you wouldn't want to walk a few kilometers in the game. But this condensation brings a lot of problems, like the height levels will change. We need to get the level from all the possible angles and try to find a balance between the condensation and the believability of the world. But if you look closer, then everything is changed and not much left unchanged from KCD. All the vegetation is improved, recolored, retextured, upscaled. Terrain textures are completely new. All the houses, all the buildings are very new. It might look the same because it's the
Thank
same
you for the subs, guys. God bless you.
Brand new.
Whenever
Anyone who
you design
subs,
a
I
sequel
love you
and
so
introduce
much.
changes to core mechanics, there
Thank
is
you,
a conversation
Solinsky.
about how it changes things that players are used to. First information about changes to combat suggested that it might get easier in the second game. Is it though?
I don't think it's easier, because even KCD 1, it's definitely harder than both of those games are definitely harder than most of the really casual experiences from other games.
I think the combat is easier in KCD 2, merely just because you don't any longer have the choice of downward diagonal, right? So that alone makes things a little bit easier, but also the combat just feels a little bit more robust and responsive. It's as simple as that. So it'd be interesting actually to go back and play the first one. Now I've become much, much better at combat and I can throw the fuck down. So I'm going to play the first one again after my playthrough of the second, and I'm going to see how that feels, and then I'll report back. Thank you very much.
So it is harder. It depends on how you define difficulty. Because you're right that it's way easier to fight against many opponents, but it's easier because the controls are less clunky.
Yeah.
But this kind of difficulty is not something you want to have in your game.
No.
In this regard, it is easier to get into it, it's easier to control the thing, but it's not easier to do the most intricate combos in the game. It's not easier to do, it's actually way harder to do master strikes now than it was in the first game.
In KCD 1,
Oh, I didn't realize that.
We were just telling you, this is the story that's happened. That
Master
happens
Strike's
around
very
you,
important.
And if didn't happen, you will just
It's also very satisfying.
your peaceful life in the village probably, and you would never need to hold a sword. But now you have to. So the combat was difficult because it was difficult for your character. And when you learned combat, it would be a little bit easy, but still quite realistic.
I have seen the combat system in bear in mind I've been with this game a long time, and I've read a lot of comments and I've seen a lot of shit. Long time, 10 years, right? And I've seen the combat system get slandered, and obviously I've seen a lot of people love it. But the people that slander it, skill issue. It's so much fun when you get it.
Because we want to
Skill
tell you
issue.
that the world around you is dangerous.
Skill
that
issue.
You will die if you will be careless.
Skill
And
issue.
for the KCD2, we say you have already something behind you, the KCD1. You have fallen levels. You needed to
and patience.
kill a
Yeah,
lot
you
of
need
people to
patience.
survive. So now you are still not.
But look at me. When I used to play the first one, or like when I started streaming, I was fucking terrible. I used to avoid combat like I avoid Farkle now. I avoided it because I didn't want to do it, because I was like, I'm no good. I don't want to do it. And look at me now. I'm an absolute fucking warrior.
Superhero, but you already have some experience.
Good things take
we wanted for
time.
KCD2 to give you this feeling that it's still harsh world. You can still die if you tackle too many enemies at once. It shouldn't be easier because the world is the same, but it should be easier to get into.
So the understandable
good way to put
challenge
it.
that's clearly communicated to you is actually even a little harder in KCD2 than it was in KCD1. But the approachability of the controls and the systems and the ease of understanding what you're supposed to do is easier in KCD2.
Keeping in mind how unusual this series is because of its historical aspect, there is one part that for some might be overlooked, but it is absolutely crucial in the whole process.
My favorite things about working on KCD franchise, it's the research and the way how you learn so much about the history and about the culture. It teaches you how skillful our ancestors were, how many great things they were able to build with much less resources or technology than we have right now. Fortunately, we have some great people in the team who are really passionate about history and came even from...
It's just mad, isn't it, when you think about it? Like, our ancestors were building all of that, although, like the buildings and finding, inventive ways for agriculture, and we're making games about that. That's crazy.
Backgrounds like restoring historical buildings. So they really...
Like, can you imagine getting a peasant from 1403 sat here and I was showing them this? They'd be like, excuse me?
Knew the physical part of it. So it's not just
what are you
virtual
showing
research.
me
You can
here?
go into the places, touch the stones, see how things
Which?
works and how they were built.
We couldn't really say...
Joanna! 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 Do you know who this is? This is the historian of Warhorse. She's one of my favorite people in the world. I adore her.
What we are using it for, because all of the title, plot, everything was still kept very, very in secret. So I had
She's
to
amazing.
based on what we did before, and people were a bit suspicious because why you need right now information about Castle and Trotsky when you've done it about Posazavi. So I had to come up with some additional information why we wanted for comparison studies and blah 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 and extensions and so on. But really, we try to keep it very, low, to not come out too early.
A lot of people have this impression that being historically accurate isn't really important because most people don't know how castles actually look. Most people will not call you on an armor that is not accurate. But what I think, and it's really important and something we learned over the course of the years, is that maybe people don't know what exactly it's supposed to look like, but they can smell bullshit. So if you're claiming you're a historical video game, you have to be true to yourself. Otherwise, people will know that, it doesn't have the flavor that the historical game, the properly researched historical game will have.
There's actually a fantastic podcast with Joanna the historian, and she goes into all of the main questions that you would have for someone like that. Like, it's really good. I'll try and find it for you. I was actually watching it today. It's so damn good. In fact, let me get it. Let me get the link. It's there it is. Right, so we're obviously not going to watch it now, but it's from the Bloody Heart of Europe History podcast. What Kingdom Come got right and wrong from the game's historian, right? And it's this, and it's Joanna going through, like, it's absolutely brilliant. Go watch it. It's amazing. It's amazing. It's amazing.
Even though, you know, there's some limits to what we can do and how far we can go into sort of recreating the world. In the first game, I remember some guy on the forums told us chicken or hens didn't have this color because he was an expert in chicken breeds.
Mods, if you could link that video in chat for the peasants, that would be amazing. If you don't mind.
In 15th century, and this is exactly what I told in the beginning. Like, no one in the world knows this. Only
it's really
this one
interesting,
person, and almost no
because
one will like.
For me, what enabled me to understand was, what do they do when they only know half of what was real? Because there's only so many scriptures and documents and images from the time. So how do they get stuff? How do they fill in the gaps? And she explains all of that and how they make those decisions. It's fucking fascinating.
Scrutinize this, but if a lot of these
thank you, wonderful moves. Thank you, guys.
Amount, even if you don't know,
Papa
there's
Pilch.
gonna be something, some details or some symbolism that you can pick up, and you can be like.
Have I heard of the game Ahoy? It's in Kickstarter right now. There's an opportunity to become an NPC if you're up for that. If the peasants want to pitch in, maybe we could cover the fee to do that. I'd really love to see you, to see our favorite prince in another game. And with your notoriety, I'm hoping Capstone Games would maybe give you a gig for some voice work in the game. I'll look into it, pal. Thanks very much. Jimbo, thank you very much for the Raiders.
Color of carrots was a huge topic, and now we have willows.
Oh, it's fucking James.
In the game, which apparently
everyone, James is in chat. Well, he might be. He might have gone by now. But James Beaumont's in chat, and go follow him. He's JMBEAU.
weren't in Europe because someone brought the seedlings sometime
Thank you,
later.
Black Hand Morgan.
Always try to position ourselves that we're not a medieval simulator. It still should be entertaining experience. And we say our
Is
number
Esfand
one
in chat?
goal is
Esfand! Esfand! Big love to Esfand, everybody. Big love to Esfand. What a fucking legend. Here he is. That's my boy. Everyone give to Esfand some love. Esfand TV. We did a little stream together the other week in Ratai, and it was fucking awesome. Esfand's a very long time streamer, legend in the streaming world, creator of Starforge PCs. Big love, big up, big up. Got my Starforge logo up there, Esfand. You see that, baby? You see that? That's for you, man.
Loads of the time, these go together, immersion and historical accuracy.
Big up, big up.
But sometimes it might put you off. For instance, the way you rode a horse in 15th century was most likely you wouldn't ride with your legs bent. You would kind of ride, can't really show it, but you would put the legs forward, which is very historically accurate, but also it looks ridiculous.
It looks ridiculous.
And you don't want your people to laugh at the knights. The knights should be like, I'm afraid of these guys. These are respectful. There are certain things that, even though it will be historically accurate, we opted for a more convenient way to display it, because ultimately we don't want to put you out of the world. So these are the things where we try to steer it more into it's immersive. That's the That's the
That's
most
crazy. I
important
didn't know
thing.
that.
And if the history goes against that immersiveness, we sometimes have to do something about
What? So is he saying that everyone who rode a horse back in the medieval times, like, looked like an idiot?
And technical reasons, there are loads of examples where we have to like sort of cave in. You start with the obvious fact there are no children in the world.
Yeah.
There's not 12 people living in one room. Everything
for
is
obvious
bigger because
reasons,
it's a video
you
game,
lot would all
so
kill
the
him.
hallways are bigger
And it'd be
people have
awful.
to, you know, walk there and back, and the houses are a little bit bigger, and so there's like loads of technical limits.
While the first game had Ratai as its biggest and most dense
But then, like,
location,
Red
KCD2
Dead
went
has
with a
children
much more
that you can
challenging
kill.
task of building a
So-
huge city of Kuttenberg, which today
It's been
is known
done.
as Kutna Hora.
It's been done.
And as you can probably imagine, it wasn't easy.
We started with really gathering not only the sources, but contacting people who dedicate their life to actually study how
Thank you,
Kuttenberg
Baboon
looked
Teeth.
in
Thank you,
previous, centuries, and all of the work around, so regarding the mining and stuff.
Thank you,
We found out that there is
Thank you.
like really tons of materials, and exactly, again, some blind spots or like places where it's very difficult to estimate what would be exactly, because you don't have much of the evidence from that exact time. So we had to base on everything that we had a little bit before and a little bit after. For example, then something was like establishing process, or it was like stopped or so. And then we also had to take that in consideration that we already showed something in the KCD one, like some kind of a difference between, you know, very little countryside, villages and stuff, and, for example, Rataj. So now Kuttenberg, which was like second largest and most wealthy, you know, city in Czech Republic, need to be really in this hierarchy really high. So again, like we had to push it. So we had to do this pimp ups, as I say, to consider, and
Pimp
then
up.
of course at all of elements study the things that
Joanna
were
is
in the
the
cities
goat.
nearby, like also from
I
Prague,
will
like collect that
never forget meeting Joanna for the first time. It was so special, and she was so kind to me, and I just think she's the best person ever. She's just so cool.
And follow up people who are actually, like, you know, living there.
We have to paint the whole world. This is the problem with us going against actual historians, is that if you're specializing in pottery shards in 15th century Bohemia, you know everything about pottery. You know, we have to know everything about everything. We have to build the world. We can't really leave white spaces. If you are doing academic research, you can say...
One of the cool things about that podcast I just linked to you, I hope. I don't know if we put it in the chat, did we? But the Joanna podcast, where she talks about the historical nature of it, is what was so fascinating was that she was like, luckily what happened was everyone at the team at Warhorse had their own obsession with one part of one part of the world that we were building. So some people wouldn't give a single fuck about the combat, but they really cared about a certain type of fabric or clothing, or the saddle on the horse. And they'd be like, it's got to be like this. And they really, 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 really cared about it. And they'd be like, I'll take that. That's mine. I'm all over it. And then other people would be like, yeah. You take that. I'll take this. So, like, what you end up with is this group of people all doing their own individual thing that they want to get right, and they want to make sure that it's historically accurate. And I fucking love that. It's so cool.
This thing we don't know, but you can't just, you can't go through a city and suddenly there's a white space instead of a house. That's a bug. It's not us saying, oh, we don't know how this house looked. So, for example, in Kuttenberg...
Thanks for the subs, guys. I love you.
Today, the tower with the clock, it's not there. It burned down. We have no idea how it looked like. But we used our educated guesses to reconstruct it, because we can't really say we don't know how the tower looked, because that would look weird if there was no... I mean, like, today there's no tower, but if there was sort of like, I don't know, a white cube instead of a tower with a message like, sorry, but we did our research and we don't know how the tower works. So instead of that, we're just admitting it by putting this placeholder here. That wouldn't be really immersive.
One thing is to create this historical city, which is really great experience on its own, but we still need to make sure it's city which works in the game. We are not creating like this open air museum or some theme park or something. We are still making the game. So we needed to rethink so many things, even the things how you navigate through the city, where you can go, where you cannot. Some gameplay mechanics like the crime system, the stealth. So for example, if you want to rob someone's house, you need to these escape roads from the houses. And creating the historical city was the first part of the job. The rest of work was to make sure it still looks as we wanted, but at the same time it feels great to just explore it as the player.
Having a son of a blacksmith in a game meant that we obviously expected to be able to take on the role of a blacksmith. However, the first game did not have that option, so it was obvious that the sequel needs to tackle this idea.
So we always wanted to do that, and in KCD2 we finally had the option and time and resources to really do that.
Blacksmithing!
So when that decision was made, we started thinking about how to do that. We researched how swords are made, how they were made in history. We researched a lot, we talked to many people, and then we were trying to come up with a way how to make this complicated process not too long, because gameplay-wise it needs to be kinda short, so you will still enjoy doing it, and to feel it as tactile as possible. There was always this design principle in Kingdom Come that everything should feel tactile. That's, by the way, the reason, for example, when you're opening a door, for example, Henry really touches the door. When you're picking up things, Henry really touches the things. We're discussing how to implement some UI to help you with the process, but in the end, we hopefully successfully managed to give you all the information you need just from the minigames. So for example, when you're bashing the sword, the sound of the impact, the sparks, the Henry's whistling, these things are all there to communicate to you how well you're doing, because we really, basically we don't want to show UI unless absolutely necessary. We want you to gain all the information from the game. But back then there was even a discussion whether there should be another part of the minigame where you actually add the crossguard and a pommel to them. But it was really difficult and not really fun to play with.
A bit dizzy
That's
now.
not something the Blacksmithing back there actually did. So there would be only attaching it to the sword, and that would be kind of different, or it would create enormous, almost infinite amount of variations. So we scrapped it. But other than that, the minigame always was planned to be like this.
In the end, this comes from it. If you would isolate it, it would be, I would say, pretty weird experience, but within the context of the game, we think it works good.
Both Kingdom Come
certainly
games have
does.
phenomenal soundtracks, and there are two men who are responsible for how the world of 1403 Bohemia came to life in terms of music.
Jan
It's not
Walter and
just
Adam
like to create all
Spoka.
of music. Just for clarity, there is over 10 hours of music in Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Over 9 hours were composed by me, and the rest was composed by my colleague Anna Sporka, who focused more on things like pop music, bath music, and that kind of stuff. And yeah, he has one particular very good banger from a pub, kind of a pub song, and also music for fist fights. So that's for him. And I've done the rest, which is
Calm down, Hans. Calm down.
The symphony orchestra stuff. You would say the big stuff. That's one thing. There is over 10 hours of music in the game, and it's 400 tracks, 400 compositions. So that's a lot, compared to what would be normally 50, 60 cues in the film, maybe 70. If there is one thing which rules the music, for me, in KCD2, it's the overall tone of the story and our main character, Henry. In Kingdom Come Deliverance 1, it's like a boy becoming a man. Kingdom Come Deliverance 2, it's like a man becoming a hero.
Not a hero.
He can also be a bad person, but still somebody who matters, whose action matters.
Good gag.
Somebody who can really decide and he can stand for himself and for the others. That's a huge step in his life, and that's a huge step in the story.
Not a hero.
The tone, particularly in the Kuttenberg part of the story, but it already starts at the Trosecko part. It's also about the problems our characters are solving. What are we talking about now? It's not anymore like a small quarrel of some local landlords or something. It's much bigger than that, you know. You actually become a part of really historic events.
Also,
you
this,
are changing the course.
This doc is awesome, guys. Please go show your support for the doc. I've got a link in chat, link under the description on YouTube. Go like it, go share it, go have it on in the background so that it helps the algorithm with the watch time. So you're not just watching it here. Let's support the filmmakers.
Of things for kings and maybe emperors and whole countries. Same as KCD2. Overall, the KCD2 music should be bigger, better, and more mature. And that's maybe the more mature, it's the most important word to say.
It's Hans!
It wouldn't work with this new Henry, with this new big story, with this, you know, new epicness of it all. And second, I would say it would be like cheating with players. It's a new game, so many new characters, so many new things, you know, so many new features. So it deserves a brand new music. With one, maybe
God, I
two
love him.
exceptions. There is no single music which we would use, like we would take the same music from
I would marry
Kingdom
him.
1 and we would use it again.
Wouldn't even think twice about
out
it.
of those 400 tracks, like
He's taken,
98
sadly.
of them are like brand new. And yeah, one of the cool things which we had and which I really enjoyed and which surprised me, because I didn't expect how much of a change that's gonna be, was that we had a live choir. We had 40 singers, like a huge one, and all of them were amazing. That was a moment.
So sorry.
And I didn't expect that. And like, I didn't, how did they say it? I didn't see it coming. That's the thing, you know. You just give them the sign and it started, all of them. I was
Ketchup Zombie,
this
thank you. Lady
because
Teresa,
Agor
Madman's
Grofin,
Boss
which is
Pigeon, thank
still
you,
my
everybody.
whole favorite room for music. That was a great thing. And since I knew I'm gonna have choir, there to use Latin words, Latin lyrics coming from Requiem, and I've used various parts of the Requiem. So there is Recordare, there is Agnus Dei, it's like 7, maybe 8 of them. There is Dies Irae, for instance, as well.
Agnus
if you
Dei.
recognize what the choir is singing, and if you are familiar with what the Latin words mean, or if you find it out, if you look it up, you will see what I meant with using this part of the Requiem lyrics in this particular scene, in this particular moment of the story.
But audio is not only about the music, it's also the whole sound design to make everything feel real.
We recorded the ambient sounds
Wojtek!
for our beautiful outdoor locations. For example, if you're in a forest, it can sound like this. Nice quiet atmosphere, not much stuff going on here, but it's very peaceful. And then you go
Wojtek's a
deeper
legend.
in the forest. So now the ambience changed to more deeper forest where more songs are singing. The rain can start. Over this sound, other rain sound plays over, so you hear like the drops hitting branches and leaves. And then maybe it stops raining. And for a bit you can hear like the sustain
Hi, Wojtek.
of the rain inside the forest. So even this atmosphere slightly goes away and goes back to normal.
Oh.
Instead of just crossfading through rain and forest sound, we have these really cool transitions which should be immersive, really immersive for the players. We recorded all the ambiences in 4 channels rather than just stereo sound, which would be like fixed left and right. Yeah. Instead, the whole ambience rotates and moves around the player as you move around as well. Okay. So it feels more alive.
There are, of course, real-life sounds recorded by the team, but sometimes what sounds very real might actually be an artificial creation cleverly made by the sound engineers.
And the second thing is that the videos you see here might not be the latest ones, so they are just for the working purposes. So
And not only plate armor, we can also modulate different sounds. For example, chain armor.
Wow.
Of course, these sounds would need further editing, but as a synchronous recording, it works pretty well. Of course, these sounds are made quiet in the final mix,
What
and
the
of course,
fuck?
they are present in gameplay also. One of the main purposes of this is to make the immersion as real as possible.
I had to record underwater fart. I used some bucket filled with water, and I just used empty ketchup bottle. And I made it like this. It was nice.
It was nice.
And I just wish I could do more sounds like this, but well, it's just what you can hear is most of the time what the sound is. So, for instance, there's a lot of throwing up in the game, farting, throwing up, all sorts of sounds like this. And for throwing up, it's
70%
really
from
hard
me.
to do the sound. So basically, the best way was just recording that thing.
So you get drunk with the team, and then you record the sound.
Yeah, maybe add some layers of the material falling to some ground, and yeah, and you're there.
It requires a lot of beers, but
well, the drinking is the easiest part in this.
Yeah, so the sound guys did
Too
a
easy.
great job regarding the Follies. They were creating most of the Follies by themselves. But we were also recording like the crowd sounds, which in the practice means that we went to this beautiful park in Prague with a group of, I don't know, 20, 30 people, and then we're like shouting, laughing, talking. They are fighting together, and it was really cool, and it kind of helps to feel the crowds behind or like the life outside of the frame, right? So the sound part of the cutscenes are being sometimes overlooked, but like I really enjoyed it and I love it.
Here we have the
love that.
trebuchet sound, starting with wooden layers.
I love that. So they would
quite
in
a
order
lot
to
of them, so
recreate
there is a
to recreate off camera like cutscene noise, they would just go to the park and fuck around and record it. That's great.
different wooden layer here.
I love that.
The big wooden construction and the ropes have to creak a lot. Then we needed to add some airy sounds, some whooshes and flying of the projectile. So the blue regions sound like this.
Woo! Sounds like a fucking jet. Incoming!
And then there are different kinds of impacts and booms and explosions. So let's break them
Take
down
over!
a little. So here is the first explosion, the stony one, followed by more of the wooden impacts.
This is fascinating.
Followed by some falling debris. Of course, a lot of different objects falling down from the tower.
So
For the
cool.
falling bridge, there is this dedicated cluster of sounds sounding like this. And let's finish this with the complete design.
Take over! Wow.
Obviously, the process would
And you guys wonder why it takes 7 years to make a game.
Not be complete without the work of the animators. Every little movement that you see in the game, whether it's walking, combat, or small things like reaching for a beer, it's either completely hand animated or animated with the help of motion capture.
So usually it begins in the head of a designer who comes with the idea either for like a gameplay mechanic or
I don't know if I've ever met
something that
Lenka.
helps them tell the story. And then they talk to animator and technical animator. So we help them also talk through it from like our perspective, like what would look good, how it would work. We also incorporate scripters who are kind of like technical designers in here.
Keonzis, thank
And
you.
we talk
Elements,
about
thank you.
How we can connect this in the engine, how it's gonna work, so we don't just record something and then process it and then throw it away because it doesn't work. It's an extremely long process. Our pipeline has 17 steps.
And there's also one instance which was like improvised and prepared in the same time. As I said, the stunts are recorded with stuntsmen, right? But for some reason, and I don't know how that happened, but we decided that Luke Dale, the actor that plays Capon, should do his own stunt by himself.
What? I did.
So, and it's the scene from the beginning of the game when he's ambushed by this bandit.
And this is rare. They don't usually get the actors to do this. But I was like, I want to do it. I was inspired. I had a bit of Tom Cruise in me that day. And I was like, I want to fucking do my own stunt. I want to fucking do it. I did not go to drama school for 3 years to do loads of stage combat to never fucking use the shit. Let's do it.
In this shake of Božena, the herbalist, right? So basically we've got him, we got the stuntman, and Dan told him like, you should grab him like this and do this, and then like roll over and do this and that.
That's
so
me!
he goes with the stuntman.
That's me, kicking ass!
Managed to work it out in like half an hour. And we shoot it, and it was like a one-shot scene, right? So it wasn't possible to cut in the middle. So basically, in like half an hour, maybe like 1 hour, they managed to do everything and prepare everything. And in the result, like Luke was doing also his own stunts, and in the end, it looks like quite cool, and even like it got some of his charm in the scene as well.
Speaking of motion capture and all the shenanigans.
Cheers, guys. Thanks, Pepper.
It's important to talk about the cutscenes. The whole process in which the actors play out all the scenes that you then see in cinematics involves much more work than you'd expect.
Some of the scenes are written by me. Most of them are written by some other people. I read all of them and rewrite them very often. Then we kind of brainstorm how the final scenes and dialogues will look.
After we got a script, sometimes kind of like adjusting the script to our kind of working with the cutscene.
Glambering Gaming, thank you so much.
Slight rewrites here and there, but not so much. Basically, the
Penny Gray,
process
thank you.
is the same as in every animated movie, right? We have some pre-production, some previous.
Then we sit together and look at the storyboards and think about how it's done, and we change a lot of things. Then we do animatic, which is basically animated storyboard, which already has some almost final lines. So
thank you so
much. I
much.
can start to prepare music for that scene.
This is like approved by the designers and the creative directors, so
Thanks, guys.
that everybody's on the same page. After that, we have to prepare the shooting itself, which means like doing the shot plan.
Then we create here in this place the fake environment, which basically is made out of some tubes and marks on the ground and stuff where everything is, which is very technical, and that's the reason why we have two directors. I am responsible for the acting, and Petr Pekař is responsible for everything else.
It's me
where
yawning.
People should stand and how should they move, and
fuck's sake,
for it to work.
It's actually quite straightforward. We've got this head camera rig on your head with some stuff that holds the camera in front of actor's face, and it's recording the performance. So we've got really detailed video recording of actor's performance on set. This is tracked in some software, and then it's later translated to the rig, and after that we are just polishing the expressions and making them like much more fluent. It's also a possibility to change the performance a bit, add some subtleness into the performance that wasn't done before, change the expressions a bit, so we've got like much better basis for this work later in the post-production.
The stuff I saw early on was like really funny.
Tom!
Those weird like astronaut face things that we had that were like, so they weren't fully executed at all, and it was really, really kind of basic. So you got a better sense of the landscape, but performance-wise you got nothing because it was these kind of real-time recorded stuff from the headcams.
In the first game, all facial animations were animated manually. So basically our animators were recreating the performance based on the references from video cameras.
Our hero Henry.
Which is like painfully long and tedious, and the result was great for the time that we had and for the technology we had, but still wasn't so naturalistic as we would like to. The shooting itself consists of professional English actors because the cutscenes are recorded in English.
When you get to voiceover, it's kind of impossible as the actor to have a handle on everything that's happening in the kind of million iterations of the game, and certainly the million iterations of the choices Henry can make on any given day when you're bouncing around between scenes and quests and scenarios. You can't keep a handle on that. So you sort of have to hand over your brain and your heart and your head to the person that's directing you. For me, that also applied to the motion capture scenes because they weren't shot chronologically. It's still such a big animal that you can't do that. So
Thank you,
there's
Miss
something quite freeing
J.
about going, especially with Dan, just going, right, you're the boss, you know how this works, you know what you want it to be. I don't. We have like really raw animatics to work from, but
So since I can't give you chocolates anymore, I guess I'll have to give you an extra beer. What kind do you like? Pilsner!
there's nothing like really fully executed for us to imagine. So you just have to hand it over to them and trust them. And there's fortunately a huge amount of trust.
For most of the time, we record as much as
Tomo,
1,000 lines per session. One session is 4 hours long. We've developed our own system of recording and delivering those lines to the game, because in the game we have 260,000 lines, and we had to get rid of the manual, tidy work.
It's very different from a film. A film you work on for 2 months or whatever if you're lucky, and kind of similar with TV. And then that's it, and you kind of wrap it up and go, right, I can move on. And it was all kind of in this box, and you go, right, that's tied up. But with this, you keep coming back for years, and you have to rely on the team to tell you where you are, what are the circumstances, what are the stakes. And of course, they're working on it every day. We're not. So they're brilliant at just putting you in that headspace and letting you get on with it.
So
he makes a good point, that guy. I don't know who he is, but he's completely
with,
correct.
Non-speaking characters and stuntmen, and sometimes like we as cinematics are recording something.
He looks like
by
me.
ourselves as well. Where there are like two armies clashing together, we couldn't record it in one go, so we have to separate it to like segments and small skirmishes, and then putting it all together. So we are putting this all together, recording it, and then editing it. That means choosing the correct animations, designing the cameras, designing the camera movements, creating the editing, cinematic lighting and particles, effects, etc., etc.
And then there's a lot of sessions where we go through it and kind of decide how it should look. So, for example, they show me some initial version, and then I ask them to do some different lighting and move the camera differently than it was originally planned in the storyboard and stuff like that.
This is one of the things that we actually weren't doing so much in the first one because we didn't have time for that. There were like lots of miscommunications there, and some of the scenes has to be reshot because we didn't kind of understand each other regarding the concept of the scene, right? In the second one, we strictly did concept and previous for every cutscene.
Oh my God, Dusty, thank you so much. Happy to see you back streaming and PC Peb's home safe. Really enjoying the docu watch party. The insights and commentary you're sharing are wonderful to hear. I'm so glad that you're back, Dusty, and I'm glad to see that your fedora is once again dusty. There was a time where it was dustless, and it was a brief but wonderful time. And if it's dusty, that's probably the right way for it to be. Okay, thank you.
Everybody's like, yeah, this is it. This is the scene. This is the music. This is the editing. This is the pacing. This is the mood. This is the atmosphere. We had 2 sound designers just for the cutscenes, and they are doing nothing else than
thank
just
you.
doing sound effects for the cutscenes. This is something that I'm really proud of, and I wasn't doing it myself. It was our sound team, but they really managed to do a great job. At the beginning, we sat. And when we said how do we want to approach the cutscenes regarding the atmosphere and effects and realism/realization, we were on the same page, so we started doing it. And after that, they created just this like beautiful living layers of sounds, natural sound, atmospheric sounds, but still with like this nice amount of cinematic effects that makes the cutscenes sound interesting but still realistic.
It's like 8 to 10 hours of recording, and we create 5 minutes of actual cutscene. We did last motion capture session, I don't know, 2 years ago, and then we were working on the finishing the cutscenes for 2 years almost.
Generally, we were just like pushing through and recording cutscene after cutscene for like almost 80 shooting days.
80 days?
Yeah.
So, okay, so that's a lot. And how many hours of cutscenes are there in the game, roughly?
Roughly 5 hours and 1 minute. We are in the actual mockup stage that we are using for not just the cutscenes, but for every animation that are being used in the game. There is like multiple cameras that are here on these rigs, and they are used for the motion capture. Basically, when actor is having the markers that we can see over there, they are being reflected back to the cameras, and then thanks to this like triangulation and comparison, the system can know where the markers is in the 3D space. Then it's like connected together to this skeleton, and based on the differences how the joints move and the bones move, we can translate it to the actual movement. We are starting and ending the shot with the T-pose. It's like a clear visual cue for the editor where the recording starts and when it ends, right? So if we are, for example, doing a scene and we have to redo it again and not stopping the cameras, we are doing the T-pose again, so we can clearly see that somebody is stopping the shot and recording again. When we are doing this, all the markers are clearly visible from the cameras. So that's why it's T-pose and not like I pose or Y pose or anything. Yeah. So it's like a reset pose, exactly. The way how the horse works is that we are basically using just the top half of the body, the hand movements and the gestures and the performance, not using the lower half of the body because it's being used for like to be in sync with the horse. When we are recording the horse movement, we are using stand-ins to help with the eye line. So for example, the horse is passing by something, the actor is starting, and we have to play as if he's passing somebody, so he's watching somebody coming against him, so he can like look for him as well, and then like you've got like this connection like that. Of course, we've got like tons of weapons here. So we've got like 2 types of swords. This is a short sword. You can see the markers on it as well because we need to see where it is in the.
That's a pretty long short sword.
Then we've got a 2-handed sword, which looks like this.
Oh, blimey.
It's in different stages of wariness, I would say, depending of how much did we used to. It was actually
Pebbles is real
here, but I believe actually we managed to destroy it during one of the shootings.
In our hearts.
We've got just like a torso of it. This is the crossbow as well. Yeah. We've got various pictures like this, pictures or tank cards depending on what do we want to use. This could be
Pink Pebbles Club, I'm gonna keep on dancing at the Pink Pebbles Club. I'm gonna keep on dancing down in West Troskowitz. I'm gonna keep on dancing at the Pink Pebbles Club. Pink Pebbles Club.
Like an apple or a pouch or whatever you need, or a grenade, I don't know. The acting in mocap requires quite a lot of imagination, right? Because you just have this
I love how I mentioned Pebbles Club and all the Pink Pebbles emotes come out of the fucking floodgates.
And nothing else, and some props and construction that the actor has to imagine how it will look in the final product. If we can help them concrete, more precise the prop, it helps them at least like that. But generally, as long as the dimensions are okay and the weight is okay and they are handling the prop as they should, so it's more like having the correct reference for the handling and for the manipulation. At the beginning, during the first KCD, they tried to use actual weapons for the combat, right? Which, as you said, helps with the weight and with the field. I was told that the weight is quite similar. The feel from it is a bit different. The center of mass is a bit different. There was idea to use real weapons at the beginning, but the thing is that when you are using real weapons, the stuntmen are much more careful. They are kind of holding back not to injure each other. There was decision to use these fake props, so they are not holding back so much. But in cutscenes, sometimes we were telling the actors to play as it is much heavier than it actually is. The matrices are mostly for fallings, right? For the combat, or we recorded some fallings from like 2 meters height. We recorded some bigger falls, some smaller falls, but also this is mostly like for falling down from standing. There is this scene when Hans and Henry is walking through the water at the beginning on the lake, right? So to kind of have this like heavy movement in the water and in the mud and everything.
Thank
we
you,
use
Arthur
the rope as
Cheese.
well to kind of drag them back.
Bless
so
you.
they are moving a bit more heavily, and it looks a bit like more natural with that. We are recording the voiceovers and the performance as well, and we have to do some like electronic clap, something that helps us to synchronize this all data together. And for this, whenever you start recording, this really loud and annoying beeping sounds to kind of announce that the recording started. It's really annoying. Everybody hates it, but it's really necessary because without that we would
I
like
fucking
just,
hate it.
synchronize it manually.
On your marks?
We've got, I think,
So
6,
fucking annoying. Imagine that like 20 times a day, and also we'd all have to be quiet while it does it. So Stepan, who was in charge of like recording the actual mocap, and the facial recognition stuff, he'd be like, "Silence, silence," and then you'd be in like mid-conversation in the back of the room, and you'd have to shut the fuck up, and then you'd hear that, and then the scene would start. It's fucking annoying.
Head-mounted camera rigs.
First world
They are custom
problems.
made. That means that one guy from Warhorse actually printed it from the 3D printer. There is like series of stripes and screws that helps to kind of fit it to anybody's head, right? These are the lights, because you have to have the clearest video that you can have on the face, right? So there is not like some
Thank you,
colored
Devilish.
shadows or anything.
Devilish.
And this is like really clear contrast.
Bless you,
recording to
sir.
that. On the back of the head, there is this like a box, and it contains the micro port with microphone and the light.
That
and
fucking
the camera
thing.
And everything. We could always bought it by some external company, but it was like 10, maybe 50 times more expensive than doing it just by ourselves.
So this was a peek behind the curtain to give
They
you
made
an
their
insight
own.
into how development of such a game looks like. We need to move on though, because on the 3rd of February, just one day before you got to play the game for the first time,
Here we go.
Warhorse was getting ready to celebrate.
We have this thing in the studio that we do the release party.
How fucking long is this documentary? It's great. I'm just like, where? How much longer? Just wondering, because we were not even at the day before yet. And it's also Toby. Hello, Toby. Does anyone know? Just so I know when I can eat. Let me know. Let me
The
know.
night before the release of the game. The reason is simple, so that we, no matter what, have a great party, no matter if the scores are good or bad. So just like this is the end in a way. However, this time around, I messed up somehow and put the embargo time, because this time we sent the review code a month before release. Now
Thank
the
you,
day one patch is a
Fuzzball.
week before day one. So everything is moved forward, same as the embargo, which is now on 5 p.m. the day when the time when the party starts. So everyone will know by the time they arrive. But again, positively nervous, should be fine. And at 5 p.m. everyone in the studios, hopefully in their Uber or cars or on the metro or whatever, on the phone, but going to the release party, because I think that's they deserve it, and they did an awesome hell of a job that now culminates in this huge party.
Yay! I got very drunk. See?
So we are here today at...
So CNN actually interviewed me and I was fucking wasted.
KCD's 2 release party, and I think everyone has a reason to celebrate. The reviews are in, and we're just trying to find some people to talk to get their reaction to the review. Did you see the review?
Praise. Identitas Fortuna Juva.
So I think you have a party to enjoy today.
Well, I'll see you guys later.
Feeling is 9
And
out
I
of
did.
10. 9.5 out of 10, I would say.
Enjoying the party, getting absolutely hammered.
No, I wouldn't do such a thing. After 7 years of hard work and labor, I will totally be at home by 10 p.m. and, you know, ready. And tomorrow I'll definitely be at work. Don't expect me tomorrow.
Those are amazing numbers. I sort of feel like I need somebody to fully debrief me on that, but that is like
Basically, that's amazing.
yeah. It looks amazing, but I'm sort of hoping that it is amazing.
Generally, like most reviews are very, very high. There's
Yeah.
scarcely anything that's lower.
Amazing.
So there's a consensus that you basically made a great game.
Smashed
I
it.
certainly hope so. I mean, there's a lot of people in this room tonight who you'll see who have put a lot of work in to make that happen. So it's very much a team effort. It's really funny because we were talking earlier about what a massive kind of
Game of the year.
You know, it's been a huge amount of time, it's a huge amount of people, and it all
Game of the year
is like rests on what you just showed me on your screen, which is a shame in some ways because actually even if the reviews weren't great, I would still be incredibly proud of it. But it definitely helps that the reviews are good, and hopefully it means the game will have a bigger audience, and you know people will engage with it more. So that is a good result.
Yeah, baby. Game of the year, baby.
Okay, this is nice. This is really nice. God damn. Yeah,
Yes, perfect.
I'm just trying to comprehend this because this level is like 87 into 92 on PS5. This is really great. Nice, nice. Wow. This is really cool. Okay, I think this is time for a drink.
Yeah.
87, 93. Great. Yeah, we had a conversation this morning, right? And I was saying 87. So 89, 87, 93, it's beyond my expectations.
Yes.
I did. Some of them that were released already, I did. And it's looking really good.
Did you see the average?
I think the average on OpenCritic was 91 and on Metacritic it was like 89 or something. PC is 90. That's, oh man. Just
Cheer up, Paja, thank you.
So yeah, it's looking great. If you know Warhorse guys, it's always a happy party no matter what we are celebrating. But this one is going to be awesome.
It doesn't mean a huge amount until it's in the lap of the individual and they're having their own journey and they're making their own choices. So I just hope that we've delivered what they expect on that front. I certainly think we have total faith in the people in this building. But yeah, it belongs to them now. And you go, all the rest of the noise doesn't really matter. It's just in their hands, and we just hope they enjoy it.
Yeah, it's almost like it takes on its own life and becomes something else when it's handed over. But I would just say, I really hope it exceeds or lives up to the expectation. I know that people are really excited, so I just hope that it they love it as much as they hope they will, and I think they will.
The journey of Kingdom Come Deliverance.
And I was right, because it's fucking amazing.
The community surrounding the game.
Yeah.
And we found a perfect person to talk about it. A young streamer, the prodigy
No.
on YouTube, part-time Hans Capon.
No. What?
And a full-time wonderful human being.
Since the second game was announced, I noticed this incredible enthusiasm for the game, and it's always been there, but it was like really ramped up when the second game was announced, and I really wanted to make sure that I could engage with people, and it's so much fun. Like
This is because of you peasants supporting me in my streams.
Subreddit is like, it honestly makes me belly laugh on a daily basis, and so because of that, I keep doing it. I feel like some gaming communities get a bad rap, and some people can be quite toxic, but I don't find that with this community. And people are just effusively positive towards me, and often they can't believe that I'm replying to them, and I'm like, I'm just a dude, I'm just a guy, and I'm as enthusiastic about this game as you are. I've always maintained,
if not fucking more so,
that it attracts a certain type of person, a certain clientele. They're usually quite studious, they're usually very excited about history, and
Madman's Box, thank
they
you.
love the realism aspect of the game. Often they're quite nerdy, which I love. I'm a nerd, so
Hell
we go
yeah.
hand in hand. I used to collect Warhammer figurines and paint them. So yeah, absolute guilty nerd here, and yeah, and they're always just so lovely. They're always just so happy to. They're also very funny. They're funny people. They've got a great sense of humor, and they're really good. They're really hot on their memes, which I love. I find meeting fans in person kind of surreal because most of my fan engagement is done online, and then when it happens in real life, it's sort of jarring that someone actually cares that much about a performance I gave. You know, I got off the train recently in Copenhagen, and a guy came up to me and was like, "Are you Luke Dale?" Are you Hans Capon? And I was like, I just couldn't kind of believe it. And with, fan signings, I did have a taster of it when we had the concerts.
It's still surreal.
Like a year ago, maybe a year and a half. And it was the first time I'd ever done anything like that, where I had people coming up to, it was me, Dan, and Jan Volter, and I think Michael Pithin as well. It's like this endless train of fans. It just seemed to go on forever, and my hand was...
Speaking of which, Netherlands this weekend, Tom and I, Dutch Comic Con in Utrecht. Yeah, baby, the train never ends for the fans and the peasants. I hope to see some of you there this weekend. And I mean everything I say here. It just continues to like get more and more surreal, but also more and more beautiful. So thank you, everybody.
Hurting by the end, signing everything, but I really like it because it's these people that show up to events like that are the die-hardest fans. They're the people that this game may have changed their life. This game may have been a route of escapism during a dark time in their life. This game might have taught them things. It just clearly means so much. So to be able to be there and sign something for them.
I love you, peasants!
It really does feel good.
I fucking love you!
Kingdom Come is very open in their interactions with the fans, but this man is the absolute jester among them.
There was one online that...
By the way, I did not know I would get this much airtime in the documentary. I actually did not know it. I know it looks like that. I did not know.
I found hilarious where a guy put on a Facebook post, if this post it was in the Kingdom Come group.
And I'm still fucking in touch with him.
He said, if this post gets 100 likes, I will name my firstborn son Kunesh. And of course, I've held him to it.
I still do.
Because that post got thousands of likes. So of course,
and you can still find it to this day.
Give him a call every now and again, and I'm like, have you met the one yet? Have you met the girl of your dreams? Are you having a child? Is it a boy? Okay, I'm coming to the hospital because you're going to name it Kunesh. Okay? He thinks I'm joking. I am not joking.
I'm not joking. It's happening.
So that's one of my favorites. I don't know what was going through his head. Also, low threshold, 100 likes? Are you kidding me?
True.
He should know the Kingdom Come community better than that. He's going to be there at the birth of the child, watching him as he signs that birth certificate. Absolutely.
Okay, funny man. Let's move. Wait, there's actually more?
Yeah, so there's this one interaction we found where a guy posted on Twitter to Warhorse.
Mikhail, you fucker.
Because he was like, oh, so frustrating, Warhorse. You know, there's this glitch in the game where Hans Capon follows me around throughout the game. Everywhere I go, it's so annoying. Everywhere I go, he's there. I turn around, he's there. And then I saw this, and I just wrote on his post, "Hi, Henry." And I was like, he can't even escape me in real life. It's just perfect.
In order to make something special for the community, Warhorse team actually came up with the idea of talking about the game through live-action episodes shot with Henry and Hans. Well, Tom and Luke.
We said to each other that we have these two guys people love, Tom and Luke. They look exactly the same as their in-game characters. They have such a great body chemistry, so let's make them the main anchorman of this video series. And let's do it scripted, so there's some funny bits of dialogue, and they do a bit of a role play when they see the dialogues in the live action. It's like Hans and Henry would be in 2024 and 5. So that was the fun element of it. Of course, there's like a lot of extra work of writing the stuff and editing it, but I think it was worth it, seeing the response from the community. So we sort of twisted it into a little bit of entertainment series, so we called it infotainment internally.
We have an amazing community, as we've talked about a lot, but we talk about it a lot because we mean it. And they're incredible, and it was a very small group of people in the first instance, but that body of people has grown. And that's for me, that's unlike any of the other work I do. The other work is kind of handled by a few reviewers.
Thank you, Riz.
Feedback isn't so much part of the conversation.
Thank you.
Whereas in this arena, it really is, and I think that's an amazing thing. It's really shaped the kind of path that the game has taken. For me, that was a real education and a really exciting one.
I was definitely surprised by the reception, and I think the whole industry the video game industry at large. A lot of the reviewers and the people that our commentators on this industry were like, I didn't know how big of a community this was, and they were shocked, and then that made them actually look into the game more, because they were like, I had no idea this was such a big deal, because it's quite, you know, 6 years on, you know, you can't, a lot of people have maybe forgotten about it, but then as soon as it was announced, people went, okay, wow, this is big.
I think it's also to some extent the size, but to a greater extent the kind of energy and passion.
Thank
of
you,
those
Nino.
people can maybe make it feel like a bigger community than it is, because I think friends of mine who are much more immersed in the gaming community have really commented on that like raw passion that we have behind us. So it might not even be as big a body of people as it seems, but just this like wave of energy that kind of pushes us forwards is, to my understanding, like really unusual and very welcome on our part.
Yeah. I went to a restaurant yesterday and ordered some food, and as I looked up and spoke to the waiter, he was like, oh my God. And he couldn't speak. And I was like, this is crazy. But that kind of thing really only happens in Prague for me. And Tom, I don't know about you.
Well, it sort of came in two waves. So there was a big wave when the first game came out, and then like a big patch of nothing in the middle of where, you know, people's attention was elsewhere. And then it started to bubble up again, really from the announcement video. And I think that also made people more aware that actually these characters were based on real faces, and that obviously they used our voices. So I think whenever I've had those interactions, which are like lovely and very welcome, usually people are really confused because often they didn't know that actually it was based on a real person. So they're really baffled, and it's like they've entered some alternate reality, and there's been a big skip in the records. But people are always lovely, which is, you know, very much appreciated.
The day of releasing the game is a special moment, although not necessarily what you would expect. The team is coming in late after the party, and there is no big rush to have everything prepared for the hour of release. There are no last bugs fixed just in time before the game goes live, because this work has been done in advance.
Yay, Warhorse! Legends!
It's quiet here today. Suspiciously quiet. That's also a sign of the fact that I believe that we prepared for the release really in a professional manner.
Yes,
so right now we're in the last stretches, so we have trailers lined up, we have this live action scenes going on with Tom and Luke. We wanted this time to involve them, incorporate them even more in the marketing, which is kind of interesting, because in the first game, or generally the first game, was new to everyone, so not many people knew what to expect from that kind of product, and it was hard to compare to anything. And the same went for the actors, which did a job for a team from who knows where, doing a game about who knows what. So they were like a little bit, not hesitant, but like, yeah, you do yours, we do ours. But of course, with the success and everything, seeing that there's a market, that there's a growing, ginormous community, it was natural for them that they wanted to be way more involved this time. Luke does this really well. Props to you, Luke. This goes out for you.
Thanks, Toby.
So he's very, very active in the community. The people love him. Tom McKay is more of a gentleman, let's say, like a really...
Not anymore, he's streaming now, hey!
With his agents and everything, and his big Hollywood production and whatnot. So he's a little bit more reserved, but still he's out there.
He's enjoying it.
Oh yeah, he's enjoying it. He's out there. He's slowly but steadily getting introduced to the terrible world of social media. So yeah.
We have seen the reviews, and I'm
streaming now, Tomo.
Really happy about them, and I think that's great. And that's like we
Meowking the first, thank you.
First hurdle, and now comes for this like final test. Yeah, final boss battle, exactly. And we will press the button today, and then we'll see how it goes. And I really hope it will go well. And so far, it looks like it should.
It did. It did,
basically,
Martin.
From the player's perspective, everything is frozen. We can't really change anything that the players will perceive, like long before the release. It's different from project to project, to the size of the project, to some processes, but it can be like even like a month or two before the release. Everything the players see is actually frozen. But if there is something really terrible, something like crashes caused by some specific hardware, these things are still being fixed. So these are the things that are still being fixed. And then something regarding like the release processes, for example, you know, what do you see, I don't know, in the shop or achievements or something like that. Some of these things still can be changed, But basically, from players' perspective, the game is frozen like a month or two before release. But from the reviewers, there are only like little things that we usually decided not to implement yet, because those little improvements could actually, cause much more serious issues, and we are very cautious. We really, we have experience from KCD1, so we really want KCD to release to be as smooth as possible. So we really don't want to introduce some new issues or some bugs.
It's a never-ending process. So as we speak now,
thank you, Desert Willow. Thank you, Another Fool.
Still fixing bugs, because
Thanks,
there
guys.
will always be some bugs to fix. And the other part of the team is working on the DLCs. There is no rush nowadays. It was a few months ago, but yeah, it's like I said, it's a never-ending process.
In all honesty, I'm positively nervous. So of course I know my people and I know my press and whatnot. They're not being influenced at all.
Right.
Of course not, right? However, I'm of course like in direct contact, like, hey, Mr. Regular Joe, can you tell me, like, what do you think? How did you like this part or that part? Have you met this thing? What's your first impressions? Let me know. And of course, 99% tell me nothing. They just say, you know what, you have a hit there on your hand, and expect something great, which, well, it eases my attention a tiny little bit, but still you never know, right? What does it mean you have a hit? They're all pretty much solid in what they say. They like the product, so I'm right now eagerly awaiting what the professionals say. But I'm even more, and that is where what is even more important probably, that it is what it is. The people, the gamers, what they say once the game hits the shelf, 4th of February, right? I can promise you that that day everyone or no one will work, and everyone will be nose into the screens and looking for the reviews and the let's plays and everything. So the hype is real, and the expectations are huge. And as I said, positively nervous.
Now the first reviews are out and they are amazing. I hope the reviews are good. I was sure that the game is good, but you never know with reviewers, and you never know. It's always, there is an element of chance and luck. So far the reviews are much better than I dared to hope.
Well, so by that point, if you've been working on it for 5 years,
in charge of hoping at Warhorse.
You can't know anymore. You've lost all sense of objectivity. You can't tell. Your nose is too far up its arse.
Just uploading a build to Steam and pressing a button. There is a review process, more or less rigorous on different platforms, and you really need to have a build that's really stable and performs well in these areas which are going to be tested. But every time you fix a bug, you roll a 20-sided dice, and if it lands on one, then you have introduced a new bug. And this new bug can be quite subtle and even more pernicious than the one that you have fixed. You might not be able to spot it immediately, but then the certification process will fail because of that. We have a release branch, which is the one that we are going to release today. That's the one that went through the certification process, or review process. And then we have another branch which contains many more fixes, because we have fixed many more bugs than we were able to
Game of the life
into this release version. So it might well happen that players will report to us
Game
about that
of
was
the
already
life.
fixed. It's internally fixed, but it's not on a public build yet. So our first task is to get this more polished version to the players as soon as we can, as a kind of patch, and we just need to see if there are some new bugs which we were not aware of. So this is what we are going to be doing in the next week. We are going to analyzing the bugs, see what is the
guys,
best
just
way,
a
how to
reminder,
fix them, how
if
soon
you've
can
joined
we
late,
get the
be sure to go and click the link in the description to the actual documentary, or it's in chat on Twitch. Go have it playing in the background, go play it all the way through, like it, share it, comment. Like, let's go support the filmmakers that made this. It's really special, and I'm not trying to take away their viewership. So please go support the film, help the algorithm with the documentary. Let's get it seen.
That fix to the
Thank
players.
you.
What's not going to happen is that everybody takes rest of the week off and just browse the website about buying champagne.
29 minutes before the official release.
Wow. Hi Ronald, welcome back.
Martin, Lena just reminded us something that whoever presses the button needs to confirm with their email and the two-factor authentication. So
yeah, I am
in
ready.
case it's going to be
I am ready for
already.
that. Yeah, I have.
How amazing.
Nice. All right.
Historical
so 3 minutes
moment.
to go.
Are we in a hurry to press it? I mean, if we don't press it. But I think everybody who wanted to be on the call is on the call, and everybody who wanted to be.
Oh, it's so lovely. Look at them all.
Make more space. We have some people still on the corridor.
It's so lovely.
Well, maybe Ronald or
So
Martin, can
sweet.
you explain it again for the rest of the people why we are releasing it a little bit sooner?
Sure. Or Martin, but typically we want to go through the main game and then through the back catalog as well, and along the way hopefully we don't find any gremlins in the system, but Steam sometimes shows some errors here and there, so we do this a little bit and also so that it starts to populate through the system, and hopefully F5 Valve is there to pick up things if something went wrong, but I think it looks good for us.
Yeah, actually, it's not just pressing one button. We will have to. We will be pressing buttons simultaneously. Martin, we will also need to release the DLCs and soundtrack and other elements.
Press the button.
Okay, so let's do it, guys. And here we go.
5 or 6 years of work there. Wow.
It's
amazing.
been a while since that moment happened. Critics
Thank you,
loved the
nice.
game and the players loved it. Currently, KCD2 holds a 93% positive rating on Steam, and just recently, the first DLC to the game, called Brushes with Death, was released. During our conversations, the team was still a bit secretive about the contents of the DLC, but it took us longer than expected to put this documentary in your hands. However, what we can still talk about is what didn't make it into the game.
We did cut things, and I will talk about one soon,
Ooh.
but we did cut very soon. There was never a feature that were like almost implemented, but we had to cut it like 3 months before release. No, we really did cut. We cut quite a lot of things, but I feel like it shows the growth of the studio. We were able to plan better, we were able to manage the work better, so we didn't, have these really stressful situations that we had to like cut something that many people worked on for so many. And one feature that was kind of cool, but was just really, really complicated, was a BART minigame, actually. There was this idea that you could solve many things via basically talking or almost singing. There were many ideas how the gameplay would look like, from like the basic ones where you would just choose correct answers and you would have the answers presented based on what you did previously in the game. For example,
just
if you
did
lived
that
through some important
this morning.
thing, it would give you, like, for example, heroic answers in any future BART interactions. Another idea was that it would be similar to a card game, that you would, boost some your presentation in some way, but it was really difficult to make. It would be really difficult, not only for the design and programmers and scripters, but also for voiceovers. For it to feel like natural, you would have to do, because we wanted this to be, for the player to be able to do that almost anywhere. That means that all the voices we have would have to record all the reactions and all the connections to everything. And on the other hand, it felt like it would be cool to try once or twice.
Thank you,
but
OG9191.
maybe not the best thing to do
Thank you so
like
much.
continuously. So it was cut pretty early in the development.
On the day of our visit to the studio, we wanted to dissect one of the most brilliant scenes that's in KCD 2, the what's, the whys, and the hows, and we got to show this to Tom and Luke for the first time ever in its finished form. This is a big spoiler, but if you made it past the wedding on the first map and past the immediate aftermath of the wedding, you are safe to keep watching.
Spoilers, chat, spoilers!
The beginning of the game was there for two reasons. One is that we immediately want to present the game like a big step up from the first game, so we wanted to show something grandiose at the beginning. That's one reason. The second reason is there's no Henry in that cutscene, so we really wanted the players to think about why is there no Henry? Will something happen in the game? So we really wanted to really give you this uneasiness of, fuck, Henry might die or something might happen to Henry. So we wanted to have that. At this stage in the story, you know that we are not afraid to hurt characters quite a lot. So we hope that you might think, okay, maybe he might die and I'm on a different version of the game, or even if he didn't die, he might be seriously injured. We still wanted for you to feel like the stakes are high.
I'm still unsure whether people will accept it for it being a little bit like it's completely different from the rest of the game. Like suddenly you're somewhere and all the rules are different and stuff like that. We like to do these things to kind of throw you off balance, but most historical novels or those that I like kind of go with this idea that this is a very unpredictable time. Anything can happen. So even you know that Hans Capon probably will be alive because you played the prologue, you don't know how he will end up there. So this uncertainty, I think it's part of the thing that people like about historical novels and movies. For a long time, nothing is happening, and then things start to happen, and anything can happen. And especially in the war times, people change, sides, and it's all very unpredictable. So I think because we built this, it helps you with okay, so I know Hans Capon will be alive and Henry will be alive, but now this guy arrived and there seems to be a lot of agenda on the table and how the tables will turn, what he will tell us. People say you know the ending. You don't know the ending. You know a bit of the ending, but you don't know the whole story. So I think it's actually not very harmful to tell certain parts of the future to the player.
Jesus. You're only supposed to deliver a message to Trotsky.
Did you get it?
Yeah.
Thank you, Everil. Thank you. Very good, thank you.
It will have to be diluted.
Oh yeah, they had us watch.
I haven't either.
They had us watch
His
this.
fever is getting worse.
And we hadn't seen this.
I always find they're so good with pace.
If this doesn't work, I don't think he'll last long.
Not the bells.
Oh, it's that music.
I've got PTSD for the bells, guys.
Our general approach to this scene was the people that play the game know that the Hans isn't executed by the end. It's saved in the last moments of his execution, right? But our approach to the scene when we were preparing it and when we were going through it with Luke and with Tom was imagine that it's going all the way through. Imagine that he's really going to get executed, because in your heads he is really going to get executed.
Look at that little hamster.
To being killed in a few minutes. It seems like not much, but when you see Luke sitting in the dungeon, just contemplating and looking on the ground, being scared, it was really natural. It was
That's my
subtle
face.
performance when you can really see the horror in his eyes and the despair that he has when he's going to the pillory and looking at the noose that is waiting for him.
Oh, God.
And Henry desperately trying to save him at the last moment, and his voice is cracking when he's shouting. I believed it on the set. This is what makes the performance great, and this is probably one of the most emotional scenes that we recorded here.
Seize them immediately! You can't do this! I'm a nobleman!
so moved.
A noble! Get your hands off me!
To hear that from Pepper is incredible.
Can't do this!
Oh my god.
Oh, Warhorse, you bastards.
Yes!
My lord.
The biggest thing is, I mean, there's so many amazing
My
elements that kind of
lord.
make that what it is, but the music really, amongst all the other things, just absolutely lifts it, and that's one of the main differences, I would say, from the day that you shoot it, where I definitely remember doing that scene with you, and I remember it being, because we know each other so well and we've worked together for such a long time, you kind of get a lot of that for free in terms of imagining your best friend about to be hung, you know. So that was sort of the easy bit, ironically, wasn't it?
It was.
But the logistics are just really simple. You know, it's literally, I think you were stood on a chair, and like there was more people in the motion capture stage than there would ordinarily have been. Because you don't have all those elements, all you can do is like go from the gut and give it everything you have, which I know we both did. But it really does elevate it. I mean, that is like incredibly moving. And Jan's music, it blows my mind. We had the pleasure of hearing him play it live in Rudolfinum.
Yeah.
And it takes it from being like hopefully good and very good to like really spectacular. So I salute him for that.
This is one of the scenes I've been talking about because it has Latin lyrics in music, and this time
Audentis
it's
voce
recordare. If you look at the original Latin recordare, Jesu pie quod sum causa, I can't remember it now. That's a bit pity. I should. But yeah, if I look up what it actually means, it's more like, you know, in
what a special thing.
It says, you know, in the day when I die, remember me, God, you know, remember me, Lord. And yeah, it's why I chose this. You know, Hans Capon knows he's gonna die, he's gonna be executed, and Henry knows it too.
What a
horrible
scene.
situation. Hans, you know, walking to the gallows is already like,
Thank you,
know,
Dusty.
kind of like funeral march, but it's not a funeral march and it's a real thing, because there is not that much of praising the deceased person and all these stuff. I mean, like he's walking this aisle and people are, you know, throwing things at him and, you know, giving him names, you know, and cursing him and mocking him and everything, because he's about to die and he deserves it, they think so, because he was a poacher. I mean, they don't know he's a noble. So instead of making a real march, which would be in 2, I actually created something which goes in 3 beats, but it has this slow, constant movement all the time. And I didn't want it to be sung with all the choir with the same rhythm completely. So they changed a bit, so they are like finished the words one after another. It starts with altos singing, and there are the tenors and basses like following, like almost commenting. Maybe this is like what's going on in Hans Capon's head. You know, it's like, well, my life was so short, but I've had some fun. I've had some great moments, but this can't be everything. So I tried to, you know, depict it a bit or elevate this feeling a bit, you know, with the lyrics. But still, whatever the choir is saying, you know, and it goes up, and there is this huge build-up. And then, you know, it says again, like, you know, in the day I die, don't forget about me. But there is still this constant moving, you know, this constant rhythm, because, you know, you can't stop it. Once this is done, it's done, and yeah, you are over. So this is like the story behind it. And yes, I have to say that this was like one of a couple tracks when I finished it already in my notation software, when I just put it, you know, together somehow. I was like, well, this is probably bloody awesome.
This is handled so perfectly in terms of the pace and the timing and the heaviness that it deserves, and it's just they're so bloody good, aren't they? They really are. It's an incredible scene. That's the first time I've seen that like in its final form.
Yeah, we've seen a rudimentary version, haven't we? But certainly nothing. I don't think it had music on it. The one that we've seen.
No.
Certainly not the one I've seen.
It was beautiful.
We're nearing the end of our journey, but the ends are always the beginnings of something else, and the same goes for Warhorse. Seeing how great Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 turned out, everyone wants to know what's next, and are there maybe any more stories to be told in the world of KCD?
and the DLCs are being already worked on. There's quite a bunch coming, and I think they, as in the manner of KCD, usually we are bringing something.
Thank you,
super
Little
new
Farmer
to the
Gosling. Thank you,
game or to
Nikki.
the-
Thank you,
to the
Spike
experience
Lee,
that will enhance it. It's
Farina,
not just some
Christina.
random
Thank you,
new
guys.
skins or whatever. Well, they will be for free, but the paid DLCs will be something new that is out of the ordinary. And then we are slowly but steadily also thinking of the future. There's a life after KCD2, so the studio.
Nikki, you're coming to the Dutch
plans are
Comic
to-
Con. Woohoo!
Of course, it depends on the success and everything.
See you there.
We would like to grow even further. We would like to expand the team. It would be a shame if the team would scatter, so we need to give them a cool new project that is even cooler than the one before. Otherwise, they will go somewhere else for cool projects. And yeah, I think Warhorse will stay here for a while.
But of course they are. I don't like
Thank you,
this
Koi Fane.
modern obsession. Let's make prequel, remaster of reboot about the character that was standing in the background in the first scene of the first game, and let's tell his story. Blah, blah, blah. I kind of hate it. It's a historical game telling about the events from history, so definitely there is a possibility to make a game about some other event with new or old characters.
You never think like it's going to happen. You hope it will, but you kind of just take each project as it comes, and you kind of go, well, let's see.
Yeah.
But there's no idea of like, oh, this is going to go on for
Thank
10
you, TV
years,
Ghostin. Thank
as
you,
it has.
Gabagools.
I mean, I didn't think we'd be sat here 9 years later.
No, definitely not. And I think that you're right, in the sense of it being a much smaller animal with KCD, the idea that there might be more, like anything, you're right, there's no guarantees that it will be a success and there will be more narrative.
Thank you, Daydreamers.
Perceived as a trilogy. I think I'm right in saying that because KCD2 is so enormous, they've kind of eaten up the second two parts of that trilogy within KCD2. But yeah, of course, like in terms of like the quality of it and its potential success, there's no guarantees.
Daniel Vava, our creative director, said there's always something he's working on, and I guess that's like that's something I would sign right away. It's not like we have already 5 new projects in the pipeline, then we'll see which one is working, but the brain work must already, at least for the designers, they need to have already a clear idea of where the next episode or the next travel or the next destination could lead to.
Obviously KCD3, right?
I mean, that's a big question, right? If Warhorse will do forever medieval RPGs, what if not, right? So I think Daniel Vavra once said that he hates that when people are forced to do the same thing over and over again. So I can neither deny nor confirm that it will continue. But what I can tell you, which you probably played it already out there, so you know that there's a conclusion in KCD2. I don't tell you exactly what kind of conclusion, but a conclusion. I think we have to stay humble for sure. I mean, now it looks like we have a hit and stuff, but we should not forget where we come from and where we should go and like keep our feet on the ground in a way. KCD1 had several sink or swim situations. If the Kickstarter would have failed, we would never ever start even with KCD1.
We are here to stay. There are 250 people here, very qualified, very experienced, and indeed it would be waste of resources if we just let them go. You know, we don't want to let them go. We want to stay together. We want to do some next projects. I indeed cannot be specific about anything regarding the future, but Warhorse is staying here, and I hope that for a long time. Developing the game is a really long-term project. It's not something you just jump on, and you have to think about it long before you start committing development resources on it. So yeah, we have an idea.
Today we are over 200 people. We are maybe 240, 50, and we are pretty much at the same situation. Again, we feel that the process that we had was
Thank you, Odes.
Adequate.
Thank you, Floxchan. Thank you, Nara.
Where we were at the time. But we feel that going forward, we need to reassess this and maybe going forward, evolve this process in a way that will address this new situation. I would hope we will be in position to continue creating games that we want to create and creating games that are distinct and unique, and this is the kind of games that we are good at. And there is no point for us to start developing a first-person shooter or a football simulator.
Games are made by teams of talented people who work tirelessly for years to launch the best game they possibly can.
Amazing.
Yet they don't always get the chance to highlight the great things they got to do. So we thought it might be a good idea to ask one simple question at the end of every interview we held. What is your proudest achievement with Kingdom Come Deliverance 2?
To finishing it, and finishing it on the time, I think is the biggest achievement we all did. For most people, and me included, it would be good Kuttenberg city. It's something which not many games tried so far. The combination of the size of the city, but still making it alive.
So I'm quite happy that we managed to assemble everything together, all the different pieces, that it works and feels much better than the first one.
So there's always this push to do things a little simpler. And I was the guardian of the quests in a way that I didn't allow any quest that would have this like kind of almost an MMO feel. I would never allow anything like this. And it was sometimes a heated debate, but no such thing is in Kingdom Come.
Even from KCD 1, our main goal is
you,
to get people not skip the cutscenes. And so far, what we saw, nobody is skipping the cutscenes, and we already even like get this like statistics from telemetry when the programmer told me like, hey man, look, the people are not skipping statistically the cutscenes, they are looking at them. And when people are watching it and enjoying it, this is
Who
like
the fuck
when
would
I
skip
kind
the
of
cutscenes
think
in
that we
Kingdom
did a
Come?
good job.
My personal
Like,
accomplishment I think,
fuck
is
me.
is the clothing system and the way how
Jesus
the people just
Christ.
generally look.
That was
I actually did
hard
once.
on by a whole team of concept art and
I actually did once see a comment that said, "Oh, I just skipped the cutscenes," and I was like,
character art department and technical, support of our, experts and programmers and everything, because it is something super challenging and very unique.
I thought that we will have to cut a lot of corners, but we were able to make the work so effective in the pipeline that we actually finished everything.
People have said things about the kind of healing power of games, for want of a much less kind of dramatic way of putting it. And I know that certainly from a mental health perspective, lots of people feedback that KCD, given that it came out around the time of the pandemic, and was a real kind of balm to get them through. And so for me, I was like, most of the work you do doesn't have that power. So yeah, unfortunately, I think, and that's a real team effort. I think that no one can take responsibility for that. That's just something we all put together that you put out into the world, and hopefully it has that effect.
Putting together the first journalist gameplay event we did with KCD,
It's Lua!
Where we invited 108, I think, outlets from all around the world together. There were I think 150 journalists or something like that. I was a little bit afraid because I had 10 hours of program, 11 hours of program, which is quite a lot, especially if you consider that most of the people flew in, so they had some traveling in their feet. But
thank you, Colfane.
Everyone who left the event wrote, or many of them wrote me afterwards saying that either this was an amazing day or even that it was the best gaming event.
Wow, we've got a level 9 hype train on Twitch. Amazing. Thank you so much, everybody.
They've ever been to.
Thank you.
Probably the most painful asset
That's
to
insane.
make. And with the greatest response was the announcement event. That was hell to make it happen, but it was worth it.
That was kind of insane to me, being on this huge set with all these really passionate people, and it spoke a lot to me about how much belief and love they had in this. Because you don't go to those lengths and project the game upon the walls of a cathedral and that kind of crazy thing they did, and have a live orchestra in St. Barbara. I mean, it's just insane, and it was like a badge
Oh my
of honor
God.
for the team.
Thank you, Pola. Thank you, Kana. Thank you, It's Jens. Thank you, Piscola. Thank you, Dagon's Calf. Thanks, guys.
Family, and that no matter what, we are here and we support each other. This is not about millions of units, Indeed, it's nice. Okay, so we did something which is successfully worldwide, but at the end of the day, it's very much about the everyday lives.
I feel
Level 11 hype train. Jesus Christ. Be praised.
People. And we made it.
The Warhorse Studios is about people, and I'm really proud that I managed to choose people I work with, and they're my friends, and we are great as a team.
If I'm proud about something,
that's
it's
so
that I'm
lovely.
part of it. That I'm part of, there is this crazy bunch of people. It's like, I don't know, almost 300 of us, or how many now. Yeah, we all are doing something together, which in the end is amazing. This is like, that's the achievement. Like this amazing game, and my music plays in it. I said it in one of the interviews when we finished the first game, and I say it again. I still feel it's a dream.
Oh, it's too much for my little heart.
I would like to thank Warhorse for letting us into their
so
safe space on the
beautiful.
final stretch of Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. Thank you for talking to us, thank you for sharing all the pictures and videos from the development, and most of all, thank you for continuing to challenge yourselves and in not taking shortcuts with your games. We spoke to so many wonderful people, and I wish we could have kept all your stories, but this video would be 3 times this long. However, we still have this footage, so never say never. Telling this piece of the story of KCD2 has been a privilege, and I think I speak for a lot of gamers when I say that we can't wait to see what is coming next. Audentes fortuna juvat.
No way, he said it.
Our hero
Henry, a fellow who helps his fellow man. Henry, reliable Henry, he gets the job done the best he can.
Oh,
oh.
Push it out, here we go.
Oh, oh.
I can't hear you in the back.
When you want to string your lute and bucket with your flags up,
Ooh, a bull of sheep got out through the creature's
rectum.
Oh,
Henry,
we thank you,
Henry,
the fellow
who helps his fellow man. His fellow man, Henry, reliable Henry. He gets the job done the best he can. Yeah. Fuck. That was a fucking emotional roller coaster, chat. Emotional roller coaster. Jesus Christ be praised, Audentes fortuna juvat. Seriously, everyone that came and watched this today with me, I want to thank you. Anyone who subbed, anyone who supports me, I bloody love you. What an absolute joy. I knew that was going to be amazing. Oh! Sorry, I get Czech adverts now because I live in Prague. That was truly amazing. Oh, big Luke. Please go and support the film itself with its own link. The link is in the Twitch chat or in the YouTube description here. Please, even if you don't watch it all again, just like hit play and leave it on in the background on mute and just let it play, and that'll help the algorithm. I want that film to do well because I know how hard they worked on that documentary. Mikhail Manka, he's an amazing, lovely, wonderful person, and he deserves the support. So I think we should all go and try and support that link, the YouTube link. So like it, share it, everything. Rewatch it, please. And yeah, just want to say to Mikhail, you did a stunning job. That was awesome. So well put together, so thoughtfully curated, and like as a filmmaker, I'm supremely impressed by your work. So incredible, lovely. I'm very moved that I was in it. And yeah, it was so wonderful to see some of the things, some of the ways people talk about those last few days, and of course the project as a whole. So yeah, thank you everyone that joined, and yeah, that's basically it. Tomorrow, join us around 10 o'clock in the morning. There's another stream, an in real live stream, when Michael Pithen and I, the guy who played Dadzig, we're going to go and do a in real life stream in Prague, and he's going to take me all around Prague and be a proper tour guide for me. It's going to be so great. We're going to filmmakers going to be there to shoot the whole thing, and this is for you, so please be there. Tune in whenever you can, and Audentes fortuna juvat. All right, so let's raid out. Let's say goodbye to the peasants. Much love, everybody. You are the bestest. Thank you so much, Talvinter. Let's have a raid out, guys. When you want to string your look. Bye, guys. You're the bestest. We got S-Vand. He doesn't need our raid, though. Ba ba da ba ba da ba ba da ba da da da. Ah, ba da 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 da. Da 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 da. La 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 la. Da 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 da. La la da 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 da. Lua's on. Lua's on. Let's go raid Lua. All right, bye guys. Love you all. Thanks so much. Bye. Bye. Bye.